same sense, if someone said that they won't vote on poisoning you, we're married and I say, no, I'm not going to vote poison you, you stab me. I don't think that was the right response. Leaving would be a good response, or not eating any food I made.
Well, we can't just not understand government. Like, why would you, if you were a Democrat, why would you ever assume that a Republican is going to let you have another Supreme Court pick ever?
Why isn't the threat life for life? Why isn't the threat, well, unless we pass this amendment, if we're in a similar position, we're going to deny you guys a pick too. As opposed to a situation of we're going to implement a system where we're going to pack the court, where we're going to completely obliterate the legitimacy entirely, right? Because you'll put 20 people, like you said before, 20 people that will rubber stamp anything that you put forward, and then you're going to have the next administration do that, and the next one, the next one, the next one, and now we have Congress and the president. That's what we have now. We don't have a court anymore.
Yeah,
right? At least now we have a court.
They're barely, maybe, but some people would argue they don't. Yeah, some people would argue that some of the decisions that have come out might have been different if Obama would have been allowed to have his Supreme Court pick. Right, we're sitting on a 6-3 conservative.
They were politically motivated as opposed to like actually constitutionally motivated.
Oh, as opposed to people like Thomas or Roberts who aren't politically motivated at all, or Kavanaugh who's not politically motivated at all. What does that statement mean?
The concept of originalism is trying to minimize like political hackery. Right, the point is that you're interpreting the law as it was written, and that's what these justices profess to do. And they've been doing, I think, a relatively good job at it compared to prior courts. Right, I mean, through the Dobbs decision, which was. I mean, people have been shitting on Roe v. Wade for how long for being just completely constitutionally suspect for having no basis? And then this is the court that actually has like the gall to do the right thing constitutionally and overturn it, right? This is one of the most principled courts ever had.
One of the most principled things that they could have done was the most politically charged Republican issue in the history of the fucking last like 70 years of the United States was abortion. Interesting. Wow, what an originalist court that they took that great decision and overturned it. How would you defend something like the immunity ruling?
Bernie Sanders was even fucking shitting on Roe v. Wade. We have, people who Justice Ginsburg, you have people who support abortion that were like admitting, yeah, this case is terrible, because the case is terrible. This concept of like the same people who ratified, the 14th Amendment then went on to like ban abortion, and somehow they intended the number of privates to apply to abortion. It completely pulled out of the ass. And this was one of the more principled courts to actually overrule that. Like, I think that's testament to how principled this court is. And the immunity decision is not as, I know that you don't like it, and yes, because for Roberts wrote it, as opposed to, there's some issues with it, sure. I wish that I would have done it differently. But, they didn't come out of nowhere. There actually is a basis here in the separation of powers to have presidential immunity, right? There is a basis there. It's not completely ridiculous. No, just like you can't have, the judiciary go after the president outside of the realm of the Constitution, and can't have the president go after Congress outside of the realm of the Constitution. Like, there are certain constitutional powers granted to the president that you don't get to touch using congressional action, right? That makes sense.
First of all, what you said about the 14th Amendment, the intention of the 14th Amendment, it's not really relevant. The idea that because the 14th Amendment happens and then, 100 years later we get Roe v. Wade, that doesn't matter, right? Like, are we going to say that Brown v. Board was a bad decision because the people who passed the 14th Amendment wouldn't have thought that 90 years later, all of a sudden we're going to desegregate schools? Like, that's not how constitutional law works. You don't look at, like, well, what were all of the potential, unforeseeable things that could have, you read the letter of the law, you look at the history of when it was implemented, and then you try to figure out, like, what it meant, and then you go from there. You don't have to, like, if the law isn't passed immediately after an amendment, you don't have to say 90 years later, oh, well, the original frame of this amendment wouldn't matter, as long as it wasn't there.
You said, you try to figure out what it meant. What do you mean by that?
I don't know how to make that. As in, when the framers passed this law, what was the law supposed to do?
Exactly. What was the intent of it, right? Yes, that is originalism. Yes.
What is the intent of what? Yeah, but what does that have to do with what you just said? That like, how could the 14th Amendment ever have allowed for Roe v. Wade?
Right, because the draft of the 14th Amendment, when immediately after the Civil War, went on. Like, you look at the timeline of abortion being legalized in the United States, it was the same, government, the same people that passed the 14th Amendment that were also banning abortion in the state. And then we had Roe versus Wade, 100 years later, and they're saying, well, actually, the 14th Amendment protects the right to abortion. The number of privates, the 14th Amendment being a big part of that, that protects the right.
So then would you argue that
it makes no fucking sense. It also makes sense that, estrogen and progesterone are somehow, and Thomas was the only one brave enough to challenge that estrogen and progesterone are somehow also covered by privacy. But fentanyl and cocaine or not. That doesn't make any sense.
Would you argue that Brown then was poorly decided that that should be overturned because how like the 14th Amendment people didn't have anything to say about desegregation at the time?
I think there's issues with Brown versus Board of Education. I would support a law. I would absolutely support a law, but constitutionally speaking, I think it's suspect. Not nearly as much as Roe versus Wade, but yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, definitely more broadly speaking, like, there's two sides to the constitutional shit.
No.
You can break it into a million subdivisions, but there are two versions of this. And I think that if we're getting to the point where we're going to say that the other side isn't just wrong, but unreasonable for having that school of interpretation.
I threatened to kill my cousin Jazz today.
You know, kind of rule of law.
No, I mean it.
Society. Like, there are different schools of thought in this. It's not like people just made up last Tuesday. There's like boatloads of law review articles and constitutional theory. But that this is one of the most written about things in all American jurisprudence, right? So, I don't know if people get to the point where we say, well, just because people are originalists, they're crazy and unreasonable and they're making terrible decisions. That those are kind of the two buckets, right?
Well, no, people say this, but the dichotomy is far blurrier than people get credit for it. For instance, like the originalism argument that the conservatives on this court are somehow originalists, any originalist argument is completely lacking in like the immunity law. There's no foundation in historical in any law or anything ready to support that. That's like a brand new, like Roberts crafted everything brand new. This idea of presumptive immunity of criminal immunity, all of that was just fabricated in that rule. There's no historical basis for any of it.
How do you figure that? How do you figure that?
How do I figure it? Well, the fact that there is no, how do I figure a negative? There is no historical basis for the President of the United States being beyond criminal prosecution.
Alright, so we have to be related. Let me just ask a question. How does generally the Supreme Court determine, like, what is case law? Like, they look at cases trial, right? Correct? Like, so you're sitting there saying there's no legal basis for there at all. Or any previous rulings, not in the Constitution, to come to this conclusion.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is like,
The whole case was a historical analysis, right? There absolutely is like historical analysis.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
to be clear, no, it wasn't. That's why the only case they can cite had to do with civil immunity, which was the Fitzgerald case that they cited over and over and over and over again. And it's why even the justices that wrote in the Fitzgerald case said that obviously this would apply to criminal immunity. And Roberts doesn't cite any type of historical precedents at all because we're Americans. Yeah, the president of the United States is never on the rules of criminal law. Why would you even assume that as an American? That's just an on his face. It's absurd, obviously.
Well, here's like maybe as easily as possible. The president has total, sole, and exclusive power over the party. It's his. It's not Congress's, it's his. So Congress can't pass a law that says the president can't issue pardons on Wednesdays. Because it's not their power. They don't have that power. Similarly, they can't pass a law that says the government will do no business on Wednesdays, and if you do business on Wednesdays, it's illegal. And then if the president issues a pardon on Wednesday, prosecute him for doing a pardon on Wednesday. There must be immunity, at least in these core areas, because Congress has no power to criminalize.
The only thing that would make this work, is if Congress were to pass a law saying it's illegal for the president to do some job. We're not even talking about passing a law that criminalizes the behavior of the president. We're talking about the courts being able to review a crime that the president committed. Not the direct action. No one's talking about banning presidential powers.
They can.
But this, I'm walking you through the logic of why.
Yeah, and I'm explaining why it's illogical. You've never needed immunity for any of this. No part of the president's job.
They said there must be areas where the president cannot be criminally prosecuted because his power is exclusive. Congress has no power there. So to the extent they pass a law that seeks to criminalize behavior over which they have no power, it is unconstitutional because they have no power.
The Constitution is called Congress, right?
Now, in her concurrence, she was saying it's really an as-applied challenge. What they're looking at is the president did something, and then you say, oh, well, if we apply this generally applicable law to him, would we be legislating something where Congress has no power? If yes, he's immune. And I think that is like fairly straightforward analysis of the structure of the Constitution and the separation of powers.
Yeah, but none of the president's powers that he executes have ever called into question whether or not he's committing a crime while executing them. This is a constitutional protection that didn't need to be granted by the Supreme Court because it's always been there. Nobody's talked about arresting the president or saying the president committed a crime when he's carrying out his duty.
It's always been that. So wait, there is a historical basis for this. So you're basically, you're like earlier you were saying, hey, no historical basis. Now you're saying, oh, well, there was this other case, but I don't like that case, so let's ignore that. Oh, it's always been implied for the history there. So you're just basically like, which is it? Is it never been there historically, or has it always been there historically?
There's never been a historical criminal immunity granted to any member of the U.S. government.
There's also never before now been a prosecution or president for a criminal act that was as part of his, rule.
No sane person believes that Donald
So
Trump
no military member has immunity for murder, even with your uniform on.
that decision. That there's no part of what Donald Trump was doing that was his official role as president that the courts are now trying to review. That's just not true. No person.
This is actually interesting. Keith and I have argued about this for a long time, but I want to get into it.
Just real quick, right? I don't mean to interrupt back and forth, all right? Interesting, right? But I have a question for Destiny. You mentioned earlier that you think that that SCOTUS as an institution, rather than story, you think hyperbolic?
Which one's the X and Y axis? Is it economics is the X axis, or is it the?
It's just kind of
Which one is it?
Trump at this point.
I wouldn't call it. I don't think it's a rubber stamp for Trump, but I think that the fact that we're going to have a conservative court for so long now, as a result of the Republicans abusing their power and acting unconstitutionally in the Senate by depriving a Democrat of his rightful, constitutionally allotted Supreme Court pick, that is challenging to the constitutionality of the or to the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. Absolutely, it is.
I agree. That thing I think was awful thing is that it justifies so much stupid shit. So everything he's saying is it's just you can always count this. Well, then why didn't they hear Garland's mistake? It said no. They wanted to say no to him and said we will give us someone else, but they didn't do that. They sat on their hands, did nothing, and then spewed bullshit oh, let's let the people decide. When that was never in their thought. They were confirming Garland immediately. They already won. The thought was just, and people started to swallow it, and then not only that, no one took action to stop it. And I think that does justify a level of this. It would have been if Kavanaugh hadn't been actually gotten in before the election.
Linear protection starts.
That seat for 2 years. I think that would have been a good ticker. To go no, pass the law, or we'll block it for 6 years. Well, you had no reason for 1 year. We'll do it until you pass the law. But that I can see you saying, make a law that stops us, and it stops you. Do everything if you don't get a procedural thing. I agree with it, but it's just it feels like you're using a very large.
Dealing with the insurance claim adjuster.
You're going to make the same argument.
When you give notice of a claim to your insurance company, its first step must be to look into the circumstances of your loss and to determine whether it is liable under the terms of your policy. The person charged with looking into your claim is variously known as an adjuster, investigator, or examiner. The company agent often acts as an adjuster of small claims, say up to $250.
And now it's well, let's just see what happens.
You are unlikely to experience any difficulty obtaining a settlement from the company if the claim is a minor one and the cause of value of loss is easy to estimate. But if the loss amounts to a large sum, if there's a possibility of contributory negligence, as in an automobile accident case, see Section 249, or if there's a question as to whether the loss really falls under provisions of your policy, you may be in for protracted negotiations. Writing the claim, Alex Jones.
Republicans should back to court then as well, because if you're saying it's obliterated and it's already over.
Republicans don't need to pack the court. They've already gotten their.
I was going to say, this is something that I think we've got principle on, which is that let's say it doesn't happen the way you described. Let's say let's say two times in the future, the Democrats do a reverse Republicans essentially and block 2 picks. None of us here are going to be advocating for packing the court if that happens. Despite the fact that, hey, the Dems got one out on the Republicans. But nobody here is going to say, well, the response to that is, hey, we better pass the amendment or we're going to pack the court. No, packing the court's not on the table.
Yeah, if you guys do a 9-0 liberal court, do specifically that, to say every single time, every single justice now gets hit with that.
See, Matt Gaetz just doesn't want to get in a fist fight. Matt Gaetz doesn't want to get in a fist fight because he's a coward. That's these politicians, they scream and threaten and stuff, they threaten to bomb countries. Have you noticed a politician not to make threats?
We had, basically, the Senate followed the rules. It's within the rules that were set at the time. There was not enough tools for the Dems to stop them from doing this under Obama, right? And so now, the way it's going to happen again, and they're complaining. So basically, they want to change the rules, right? So what happens if they get what they want, and they still don't win? right? Like, let's say they still lose, they still don't get the Supreme Court, or somehow they're held up and the Republicans outgame them again. How are they going to come back and bitch next? Because that's what this is. It's just going to keep changing the rules till they win. At what point does this stop? That's what I want to know. When does it stop? Does it only stop whenever they get what they want, or does it stop whenever
That's when it stops.
This is bad game?
The rule that I'm suggesting.
That's when your lights go out.
This is not a politically, like, a biased rule. Everybody should agree to this rule. Like, and if we pass this rule or this law or whatever, and then for whatever reason the Democrats lose the election and there's another Supreme Court pick from a Republican president, then this is what it is. So that has no impact on this law.
Yeah, I agree. You could actually get public support over that. Thing is, I don't think anyone's going to care enough. It's not going to be, but you could make it a national issue that says, here's what we want. We want within 90 days, you have to hear the hearings, like whatever. And, you know, you get the answers from every senator and every person in Congress. It's not going to change, even though, like, we would all agree with you. The problem is, you have to get the public to care. And if they did, then yes, people would take that position and pass that law. But the problem is, I don't think people are going to care enough to get that kind of support over it.
Well, this is the problem. There's a theater aspect. This is what I was saying again. Like, you could fix this with a Senate procedural fix, and if you have a conservative destiny articulated, you could hide the procedure. The procedural fix with a filibuster, so that you have to get to 60 votes to change that particular procedural rule, and then the Mitch McConnell maneuver with the Judiciary Committee did. Now, I think what this is raising is the kind of the larger question here, which is like, no, if there was no Judiciary Committee, and there was just an up-down vote on Garland, and the Republicans voted no because they had enough seats to vote no, I don't know that that's going to make Destiny any more happy than he is today.
Yeah, but well, at the very least, they're voting, right? Like, that was the whole issue. Even when people point back to, because Republicans won't take accountability for literally anything. They'll go, well, Henry Reid, he suggested a nuclear option, and this is where this all started. Yeah, but the reason why he suggested it is because Republicans wouldn't vote on anything. I think it was like there have been 20 filibusters for federal judicial nominations in like the past 2 decades. And in the first couple of years of Obama's presidency, there were like 30. It was unreal. It's not that they were voting them down. They just wouldn't even have to vote. And McConnell explicitly said, you don't have to guess, McConnell said that my goal is to make Obama a one-term president. He wasn't going to let anything through the Senate. This can't happen. It's not okay.
If the issue is the procedural rule, why not fix the procedural rule? Change the way the Judiciary Committee structure and say that you can't change it again without breaking through a 60-vote filibuster.
I mean, you can do that. I think that's you can do that. That's the but
you can do it more.
I don't know if you can get. Isn't the cloture like the ending of debate? Isn't that always 51 votes? I don't know if you can change that with just another rule of that updated law. I'm not sure.
And just get people to care about it. The problem is like if people politicians respond what the public care about. And the thing is, if they care about this, then yes, you get it to a vote. The problem is and then you have going to court packing. I'm not certain how you're going to get the power for that. Again, if you have so much power, it's like I'm just going to overwhelm an entire branch of government, but you can't pass a procedural rule like that.
A question for you, Destiny.
Sure.
I do have a question for you, but that is a question for Destiny as well from the audience, which I thought was well articulated, so I'll ask that on. If Kamala is running on a system where she does say, hey, I'm open to packing the court, which she did in 2019, right? She did say she's open to that idea. And the public, knowing this, or at least being made aware of this by advertisements and things like that, vote her in. Is that not the public being okay with this?
Maybe, but also, packing the court is a nuclear. That's a really bad thing. Nobody should want the court to pack.
Really bad.
But nobody should also. What the Republicans did was also a really, really, really bad thing. Because the Republicans have no accountability.
Can I ask a question quick? Let's say Republicans oppose the amendment that you're proposing. They just reject it right at hand. Would you be in favor then of Kamala Harris just simply ignoring the Supreme Court as opposed to backing it? Because in your words, they're litigated anyway. They don't have any legitimacy anyway. Would you be in favor of just Kamala Harris? The Supreme Court says no, don't do that, and she says no, fuck you. Right?
No, I think that packing the court is more within the bounds of the law than just ignoring it.
What's the difference in effect?
Well, it's not about what's in effect, it's about what's the law, right? There's nothing technically blocking you from putting more Supreme Court justices in.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucker.
Would be
I'm gonna kill your fucking kids too, you piece of shit.
Branches of government, right? It just doesn't work at that point.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucking nigga.
Unity ruling in the president.
Look at Ryan ready to fucking die.
Who would destroy the judiciary. But I think when the effect is the same, right? We're talking about the same effect. That's why we're saying packing the court is destroying the judiciary, right? That's why we're saying at least that, because the the effect is the same. You just put 20 sycophants on there that are going to do whatever you say, and then, or rule however you want. And then you essentially done the same thing, just ignoring the Supreme Court.
Would you agree that that it would destroy the court if a political party said we're never going to hear President Supreme Court picking on it from a different party?
I don't think it would destroy it. I'm against it, but I don't think it would destroy it.
Why not?
Because you could very easily have the other political party do the exact same thing. Like, look, we're also never going to hear your picks. And so you have a situation
fucking kill me.
now with certain circumstances.
I'm gonna fucking kill your nigger kids.
And into court packing. Court packing won't.
You didn't watch your nigger fucking kids die. You're getting your jails cut off.
I
And
understand,
fuck
but
back.
this is what destroys it, right? Because now the Supreme Court is full of sycophants for every single administration that comes in. It's much slower, right, if you have a situation where you can't just do that every single administration.
Yeah, but people would.
Whereas instead,
People argue that that's already happened.
back and forth.
It's
No,
the
it's
Supreme Court.
No, instead the back and forth is going to happen, like, yes, over a long period of time, you're going to have a situation where you can only really get a Supreme Court pick in, control, the Congress and the President. But that's going to apply to both parties, and you're still going to have, like, a slowly changing Supreme Court that's not going to be able to rubber stamp every single agenda that the incoming President has. But if you pass the court, and both parties want to do that, you're going to have a rubber stamp that's going to,
Exactly.
anything that goes through. Why would they not?
We already have a 6-3 court for like the next generation. Like this has already been a huge problem. But like you guys are just like rushing over that, like, oh yeah, this is kind of bad. But like court packing would be horrible. Like something horrible has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
They need
I also don't see what
to happen with one more level on the court. Aaron.
This is a little bit of a pivot, right? Because we were talking specifically, why won't they just ignore the Supreme Court? Oh, because that obstructs the whole process. Like, and in fact, court packing is the exact same.
You're betraying
This is
the government.
well, hold on. This is how it's different than court packing, right? Yes, I know you're saying
Betraying the government.
25-3.
Yeah,
Obviously,
he's
there's a difference there.
betraying the government. Who's the government? Who's the government, queer boy?
There's a difference between like
Who's the, hey, cocksucker, who's the government?
and ignoring everything from the courthouse. Like there might be both bad even, but they're different things in substance. These are two different things. Ignoring the entire judiciary is different than packing the court, which you could argue, hurts the legitimacy of the judiciary. These are two different things.
No, it doesn't obliterate it.
Why would it obliterate it?
Again, because you get a president who gets elected, and let's say they have congressional control, and the established norm is here, you just pack the court. Well, I'm going to find 25, sycophants that do whatever I say, and I'm going to put them in the court, and I'm going to get everything that I want passed, guaranteed. Because I'm going to find the people who have my exact agenda, and who have my exact agenda, I'm going to put them on the court. Currently, we have 6 justices that are, quote-unquote conservative. They're incredibly principled, and they disagree with each other very often. Gorsuch ruled in favor of giving Native American tribes half of Oklahoma, and ruled that you can't fire people for doing
The
crimes.
courts don't pass laws. You can't pass a law with the court. So saying that the Supreme Court...
They say you can't fine people for being trans?
Congress. Okay, number one.
Who's fining somebody for being trans?
You still have to have the Senate approve every single court pick that you have, so you're getting at the very least your entire party.
This citing was weird, like,
So even what you said isn't true.
you
No,
can't
there's
fine
no-
people for being trans.
That's the point.
What case is that?
What I mean by that is that, yes, you're going to have control of the Congress and the President. But then, the Constitution is no longer a barrier. Because you're going to have, every single president is going to have enough justices on the court to say whatever they do with the Constitution. Oh, you want to do something crazy that you just have in a flag? Burning the flag, for example. Let's say, you have a Trump-like figure who gets elected, and then, he's super in favor of criminalizing burning the flag, and then he packs the court with, 25 justices that all agree, yeah, you should be able to punish people for burning the flag. Great. Now the Constitution is been destroyed as
Okay, so what do we punish somebody?
You got that. You got it.
Who do we have to punish? Who do I have to punish? Hey guys, that's my job! Who do I gotta punish?
This scenario, literally, verbatim, has already happened.
This situation does not happen.
Yes, it has, Donnie.
In the civil immunity case, what you're saying is
You have multiple children out of wedlock.
before. Has that happened? Has there been massive amounts of civil damages done by presidents? Have they actually done the thing you're saying?
They get the same as
The second that thing is an example.
Biden, Daphne, and Orly. They're your children. You have to support all your children, Connie.
Exact same thing.
So why the guys down lower corner of the friggin' note, that's absolutely pure, anarcho-libertarian. That's where true libertarians go. They don't want to follow anybody's laws but their own. Every libertarian, they get the larger friggin' cultural norms. Screw the laws. Screw tax. I'm gonna do anything I want.
Why haven't who?
Why didn't Trump use it? Why didn't Trump use it?
Trump did use it.
Now you're seeing a dude whose entire lifestyle is funded off of taxpayers.
To make money. You just basically buy things and then just not pay them. Because
You want to the governor? His governor's in the bottom fucking left corner.
Having his like Secret Service people like stay at his resorts every time he goes out golfing or whatever. What do you mean?
No, I mean, like, you could make a contract and then just not honor it. And just go, you can't sue me for civil damage. Or you just go out and just say, I'm going to pass laws to screw over people to make them lose money and just say you can't get me civilly, even though I don't intentionally that I'm doing it.
Don't for civil litigation. Don't you have to have a particularized person? You can't.
Guy's talking is my brother Adam. That's Tom. Hey, is that Tom who used to scratch in the couch in Northwood? Jeff! Jeff! Can you like that like Tom? They used to sing on your couch!
The idea that like the president could abuse this particular thing, there's a reason why a president might be super motivated to commit crimes, and you don't have to imagine that. You just look at the last president. But in terms of like the president conducting himself in a way where he's like incentivized to commit like civil crimes, I don't think it maps on as cleanly at all. And also, is the implication from Fitzgerald that like he wouldn't be able to is there an implication that if Nixon had a private business and let's say Nixon sold hot dogs and he scammed or he sold some poisonous hot dog to some person, would Fitzgerald have protected Nixon from being sued as a private citizen if he did that while he was president?
So the majority doesn't. It's the same thing here, where you're saying that the dissent in this one says that SEAL Team 6. The majority doesn't say that.
The majority does sign off on that. And the majority does say
Majority says, you're in there that SEAL Team 6 is killing
you make it! And the majority protects Donald Trump lies from the DOJ to every state. That's not a core power of the president.
Yes,
Wait, get to that. Don't want to escape from that. To be clear, you do recall that, right? Roberts told Trump that he is now allowed to do this thing. That's not a core power of the president, right? To tell the DOJ to lie to states.
to talk to your attorney general. If I said, if Congress said, actually, the president can talk to the attorney general, but only if we say, but it has to be approved by Congress first, otherwise it's a crime.
The president can talk to the attorney general as long as Congress approves it.
To be clear.
He doesn't know how the he's trying to be president from Congress.
No, they can't.
Is he talking?
It's constitutionally protected to commit crimes.
I know. That's okay.
No, it's not, because it would be stuff unconstitutional.
How? It's a crime. You said the president has no immunity from crimes. Congress can pass any law they want. They can make it a crime for him to be the president.
If the president has in the Constitution the ability to appoint officers and to communicate with his officers, how could you criminalize that behavior?
Exactly.
Who's immunity? That's what they're saying. That's the official act. They can't criminalize.
There we go, there's immunity.
He's not being charged with picking his heads of his departments. That's not the crime that he's being charged with. If the president, under what he's being charged with, you're telling me that if the president goes up to the head of the DOJ and says, I want you to go and cut like 15 people's throats off and I'm going to fire you, your argument, Robert's argument is that would be immune from criminal prosecution because it's allowed it.
No, it wouldn't.
It would be.
The old marriage was always one of dreams.
It would be, and you're absolutely
The Pennsylvania fear Swift. Weird Swift, no more authentically country than the coastal Cracker Barrel down in Nashville, a chance to make it on the strength of his songs.
Yeah, because he literally explicitly protects behavior. He agrees with it in principle by the fact that he buckets some behavior where he says this is an absolutely immune thing.
Look what you made me
The
do.
Constitution doesn't say DOJ.
Look what you made me do.
Is that a constitutionally protected power?
Hey, Rich Paul. Rich Paul, look what you made me do. Well, you can't see it yet. You can't see it yet. Look what you made me do, Shoes.
Well then why is this protected?
This would be full, because talking to the DOJ about what things is what they said would be core power.
It's not. What core power is that?
Investigating and prosecuting criminal justice.
I'm sorry, the elections for the states are not in the purview of the federal government, okay? Generally speaking, number one, there could be some exception to that, number one. And number two, he wasn't asking them to investigate, he was telling them to lie about an investigation.
That is the category of immunity that the court articulated. It was the police power. investigating and prosecuting crimes and talking to your subordinates about the investigation and prosecution of potential crimes. Now, you and I might agree that he was wrong, but like, him being wrong doesn't mean he wasn't talking to his subordinates about investigating and prosecuting crimes.
It's not about him being wrong, it's about him committing a crime. It's about him engaging in criminal behavior that is now beyond.
Well, and this is why it's appropriate that you understand that if you have immunity unless you committed a crime, there is no immunity.
Correct, and there shouldn't be immunity. No, it's not. You said something so further. The president shouldn't have immunity from committing crimes. Presidents have never thought that. Nobody's ever thought that. Why did Nixon accept Ford's pardon? Why did Ford even pardon Nixon? Like, why did he do it?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually think Ford pardoned Nixon to avoid a situation exactly like this, where we were forced to confront the question that is better off without answer. I think we all were better off in a world where we weren't getting into this kind of thing that happened reprisal.
This is not. It's not a tit for tat reprisal. Donald Trump committed crimes, unprecedented crimes, in office. In office. It is a president that is committing crimes. What?
The internment camp.
Hold on. I can't hear. Ryan said something. I'm curious what you just said. I didn't hear it. Repeat that, please.
The reason why that's hard to issue is because this sort of constitutional crisis is really rough on everybody. It raises serious constitutional questions. And I would posit that we were better off for the immunity decision. I think this is the kind of thing that we're better off doing in a soft way. But now we're in an era of tit-for-tat reprisals. We have, and I think we're going to get it for a while. And if we're going to get an era of tit-for-tat reprisals, I mean, candidly, do you think if Trump wins, he's not going to find some way to prosecute some Democrat or something? If not Biden, then someone else? I think he would. The immunity decision probably will come to him. This is, if we're going to be in an era where people are going to really be testing the guardrails like this, then the guardrails have to be firm. I preferred the era where we didn't test these guardrails and we got to do things through soft power. But if we're going to have to articulate rules, we need rules.
You say tit for tat. What was the for this tat?
No, potential. So let's say that the immunity ruling went your way, and then now he wins, and then he goes right after Biden and throws Biden in prison. Would you support that? You say, well, Trump got a ground president, you can throw them all in prison. You just support all of it.
No, because that's not how any part of the government works.
Look, I'm saying if they come up with a reason what a law he broke, what is the one that impaired an agency?
If somebody is able to present an indictment to a grand jury indicts, a prosecutor takes him to criminal court, and in front of a jury of conspiracy gets convicted of a crime, then sure. Which is exactly how our criminal system is supposed to work.
What's the grand quote? I think an indictment for you.
Yeah, can you get a beyond reasonable doubt conviction for a ham sandwich?
No, you said indictment, not talking indictment.
No one cares. We're not talking about indictments, though. We're talking about convictions.
Well, you were talking about that.
No, I'm talking about a conviction. We're talking about conviction.
I would definitely just to be candid. There's a couple of things should be talked about. So
I have a couple super chats that are useful to read a little bit, so I'll go through them real quick. And he goes knocking down my door. So everyone's okay with passing the line.
Oh, no, buddy.
But if you guys aren't okay with that, just let me know. $20 from Tom Twitter saying, so sorry about what happened to your team yesterday, Wait, just wanted to show my support. Oh, there we go. $10 from Aircraft Sparky, Destiny's pitching a fit over Garland not being confirmed as a result of Joe Biden's president said to learn some history from other sources in Wikipedia. Okay. $20 from No Step on Snake to say, just to be clear, and this is a question that I actually am curious with it, is that if Garland had gotten a hearing and been voted down, would everything be okay at that point? Or is Obama entitled to a hearing? What's the problem?
He's entitled to at least have them heard. If they've been voted down, we'd be having a different type of conversation. I mean, if they're voting down every single one in bad faith, I don't think that's good. But he's entitled to have them heard.
The reason they wouldn't hear it because they would have voted yes.
Okay.
And then $20 from Connor Salter. Justices are appointed by partisan actors and confirmed by partisan actors. Why or how would a greater number of justices appointed by this exact same process destroy court legitimacy? Isn't court legitimacy already under fire from ethics scandals and brutal illegal polling? The Constitution doesn't give a number of justices. Did Washington destroy court legitimacy by appointing more than the Chief Justice? Did Adams and Jefferson, two founding fathers, when they changed the court size? How did McConnell not destroy court legitimacy when he withheld Garland and crammed through Amy Coney Barrett? Which this is a fat lot, so I want answers. But that is a question, right? Why now?
Well, but Amy Coney Barrett was
Oh, sure.
But also Kavanaugh was one they were saying like it was right before the election. They were trying to say like, I thought you were about an election, shouldn't you let people vote? And then suddenly.
Well, let me ask this, and maybe I'm a little confused constitutionally here, but I was under the impression that it said the Constitution empowered the Senate to advise and consent, but it doesn't require them to do so, right? So if they're already saying we're not going to approve this person, why would they even put this person in there? I don't understand why. Like, it doesn't seem to me like they broke any rules. It seems like they worked as constitutionally intended, and we're just throwing our boys on the ground and crying because we got outmaneuvered. That's what this is. That's what it is. It's different.
Do you think the intention of the Constitution was for them to just say, when they wrote that, the advice you sent a Senate thought was, and by that we mean, don't even hold an election to hold up anyone until you get your guy. Like, that wasn't the idea.
There's nothing necessarily like similar to court acting. There's it's not necessarily prevented, but like it is a horrible outcome.
Yeah.
The 1992 point though is true. I just looked it up. I actually wasn't aware of it, but Biden did argue for delaying a judicial nominee until after the election in 1992. Yeah. So I mean,
That's what they were doing.
Wait, what does that even prove? What does that prove?
That in 92.
President argued for doing this prior. Dude, the thing that you think is so terrible, but I agree with you with that. But like, if you think Republicans,
95.
they do this, they don't play by the rules, Republicans are awful, I mean, how many times have you said that this discussion alone?
The African rights
Joe
of
Biden was saying,
people.
yeah, we should do this thing that you think is terrible back in 1992, and now he's the president.
How many people were arguing for it?
So it looks like it didn't happen, but the current president, the current Democrat president, was advocating for it. They're saying that
They even refer to it as the Biden rule.
Is that Hobson?
But also, again, that wasn't even what they were doing. Remember, if
Is that Will Smith?
they were going to confirm Garland immediately. They weren't going to let Hillary have a pick either. Like they said, like,
Under divine control, he believes.
Garland wasn't
And even of Togo comes into voodoo spirit possession.
like it wasn't.
Born on West Africa, slave coast, the religion found new soil and new forms in Haiti and elsewhere in the New World. It remains largely unchanged among traditional Uri, who invoke their gods and give thanks in stirring ceremonies.
We can all say, like, look, whenever the Senate or the president takes an action.
Article and photographs by Carol Beckwith and Angela Fisher. Oh my goodness. You get a couple women around, that's like, oh.
The common thing is bad for the rule of law. What?
Is that what the inside of Bugabuli's hut looks like during the Indian ceremony? Is this what you're thinking of Bonnie Indian ceremony looks like?
Good for the rule of law is the idea that judges are smart lawyers who are going to do legal reasoning, and they're going to interpret cases in front of them as fairly as they can. And the further we get...
Are they putting a white face? I mean, this is cultural appropriation.
Right.
My goodness.
Right on that.
My goodness, I hope he's not running for president and stuff. Oh my god, you're doing whiteface?
That's fair.
Culture appropriating and mocking white people?
Can I go quick? Well, he's going to get like an hour and a half solid on the immunity decision, where he just nailed me. It was a lot of fun, so I don't know where he archives his content, but if you're interested, go watch it.
Fair enough. But for you, Ryan, the idea that the courts are too politicized now, right?
Check
How,
this out.
in your opinion, do we...
Movies.
Like, isn't that just the nature of the beast? When it
You didn't see it. I don't want to get bothered with sexual nudity and stuff. Oh, look at.
It is to a certain extent, but I think we have to... I have a streak of West Wing idealism in me. You have to start treating the justices like justices. rather than political creatures. If you talk about them as political creatures, and the court is guilty of this too, I think part of that
They can behave like political creatures. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I think that as much as Destiny disagrees with this,
Look at the 2008 without Gordon. I'll use that as an example, right? Do you think that those weren't just entirely on political lines? All the Republicans just happened to interpret the Constitution in a way that prevented a recount, right? But all the liberal justices happened to interpret the Constitution in a way that would allow a recount? You don't think that politics played into that at all?
no, I mean, I think politics does play into it, but the important thing is that we limit it to the extent possible.
You minimize it.
And this is not going to be perfect. It's like, this is kind of a weird analogy, but often one of the mistakes people make when they talk about originalism is they say, oh, well, in this case, you didn't apply originalism. It's like, no, we try to find the original purpose when possible. We try to limit political influence to the extent possible. This is the art of, what the best we can do. The best we can do isn't going to be perfect. But we need to believe that the court is engaging in legal reasoning and making decisions on the basis of legal reasoning. Because if you don't believe that, then to a certain extent the court's already non-legitimate.
And also, like the vast majority of cases are 9-0. You know, like these ones that where they pop up and they have these like political lines. What is this?
No. Ready?
Oh.
Well, no, finish your thought.
Sorry. But, that was it. The majority of cases are 9-0. You don't have, like, if we were having, like, it was 6-3 every single case, I think there would be, there was, holy shit, like, how is it that there was a single case that anyone can agree on? That creates a problem. When it goes, we have, I think, are we at record highs for, like, 9-0 decisions? Like, the idea of saying, I can think of one case, because that's one that gets the news. Most people don't care about.
Right. Well, please go.
Yeah.
People this way. And what are your thoughts?
Thank you so much. First of all, Rick, many thanks for responding to my direct message. Thanks to everyone for being on this very informative panel. I think this is an incredibly important issue. And so I'm thankful you guys are talking about it. And again, much love to all the panelists, including but especially the lawyers and Gibbs and Destiny Law. I would like to start at COP 6, because I was a little bit of... Are you talking on your...
What's going on? I'm just going to finish.
Are you?
Ryan,
Oh my God! I bet you have him blocked.
Does he? Ryan, am I blocked? Can you hear me?
Oh no.
Okay, guys.
Can you?
I mean, I asked if you were okay with this, and no one DM'd me. No one.
I didn't block him. Ryan, can you nod if you hear me?
Can you?
Can you hear everybody?
Is there? Ryan's not talking. Can you not hear me? Oh, you can't hear any of us.
And I can hear you guys.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
You still?
No, I can hear you still.
You definitely not blocked him.
Did you block me?
I'm not just
Right,
no one
like, so find Keystone on the channel and right click him. Do you have him muted or something?
What?
Or you can right click him at the Discord call. Like his picture.
Yeah, I'm not a Discord user. I have not blocked anyone.
So if you right click Pisco, what does it say under apps, invite the server, remove friend? Underneath remove friend, what does it say?
It says add friend block.
It says add friend and then it says block. Oh, and then what is his user volume set to? Is it at 100% or is it at 0?
Yeah, did he?
It's 100%.
And
Did you mute? You can't hear me at all?
We can all hear you.
Okay, maybe this is a bad idea just from the tech perspective.
Wait, underneath the user volume thing, is the mute checkbox, is that checked to the right?
No, it's mute's not checked, mute soundboard's not checked.
Maybe just have leave and come back. Mine is just maybe have leave and come back. Mine is yesterday.
Can both of you do that? Try leaving and coming back?
Yeah, I'll come.
Yeah, just jump back in and I'll pull it back.
Once you block me out.
Well, because I wouldn't let, you'd still be able to hear her.
This is beautiful.
Hey, Ryan,
I love
you hear me
it. This is why I don't like. Oh my God.
Alright.
Okay. While we fuck with tech, $20 from PJ to say presidents are entitled to immunity from crimes, and the president not use the military to police/eliminate conservative Supreme Court justices and pardon the military personnel to carry out the act.
We'll get into that, but first, Ryan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, I can't see you, I can hear you.
Okay, well, first of all, that's all we need.
It was this one. See, I wanted to start on SEAL Team 6, and I was a little confused, Ryan. When we finished our conversation earlier, it seemed that you had granted that the police power, which is your basis for, and I suppose the court's basis for, structuring out or charting the core executive function of the president, includes the authority in certain circumstances to use lethal force. I thought you agreed to that, and you agreed that killing of a normal citizen, we'll get to the prominent citizen, would be covered by absolute immunity, provided the president write some kind of pro forma memo that said all these kinds of conditions were met out. I thought you had granted that that would be absolutely immune. So I'm confused now you're not granting Stevens' invocation of that.
A ground rule though, I'm not here to litigate you guys' previous conversation.
Sure. We can start fresh. Why is it that you're not granting Stevens?
Put that out to the first principles and then.
Okay, sure. The police power of the president, to the extent that it includes, ordering of investigations under certain circumstances and ordering of arrests under certain circumstances, would also include ordering lethal force under certain circumstances. Would you agree with that?
Let's back up even further.
Okay.
The presidential police power is primarily prosecuting and investigating crimes. It does not include assassination orders.
Does it include ordering the use of lethal force under certain circumstances, yes or no?
This is where we're going to get really into the weeds on the technical aspects of the reality. We'll go down this road.
No, you won't. It's an easy question. You can say no, or you can say yes. You can explain.
The answer to that question is there's no such thing. The police power does not include unconditional killing.
I understand.
The police power can include the use of lethal force in certain situations, which is what we're going to go down here.
Perfect.
But it does not include is ordinarily saying you killed this person flat stop. That's not something that the police does.
Would the police power of the president include ordering the use of lethal force to stop an imminent deadly threat against United States citizens?
We're going to go through this whole line here.
No, we're not. Okay. Why can't we go down the line?
Because we have 6 people on this panel, and I want to make sure that this conversation all has not just 2 people back and forth.
Do you know that Marco Polo reports
Destiny says he's in favor.
that the 3 mad guy Christian fame are buried in the Iranian town of Sabah?
Clear
Sabah?
policy position that you can be in favor of. Do these people have this?
There's a burial spot with the 3 mad guy Christian fame in the Iranian town
More work.
of Sabah.
Unilateral withholding of the constitutional prerogative of the Senate to hear a president's nomination. There's a concept in law known as waiver. And that waiver, often, Obama should have, in my opinion, just installed Merrick Garland after the Senate refused to do their constitutional duty to hear and give advice in the Senate, give an up or down vote. Here's the problem, right?
Wait.
Very minimum.
Before we go into Peter's opinion on this, okay? Because I feel like Ryan got off on a technicality. Okay, just a quick thing. So he still wanted to challenge you on ordering the president using policing powers to assassinate or something. And I think Ryan's correct that you can't actually, the police are never allowed to assassinate somebody. But why can't very simply reframe as a
You're relaxing all these guys.
we all agree, or Ryan, you agree that the president has the unilateral ability and authority to assassinate political, or not political enemies, but enemies to the United States?
Well, this is going to get into a few very technical areas pretty quickly. You're saying SEAL Team 6 does it versus the FBI does it. You're talking about different presidential powers, which would have different flavors.
SEAL Team 6 all get busted for drugs. Bumped off the program.
Not assassinated. Wait. Now, isn't the only order? What? So? But then they can't issue
Congress can regulate the DOJ as well.
Yeah, but in terms of ordering having the final say, the president is the commander in chief.
Are there representatives trying to give military orders? Do we have some representatives trying to give military orders? This is my desperate, and I am the government, and this desperate you need to obey me.
Get rid of the DOJ, we're talking about their capacity to regulate things.
This is a military base in Wawaza stronghold. These are like Antonio Villa so what was that really big pro? Oh man, you look at the demographic shift in LA. Oh yeah, because it's just a stepping stone. They use this thing, they don't care, they feel that their man is stolen. They feel their man was stolen. Now if they want to go to court over it, they can prove their man was stolen. Otherwise, they're invading army. Otherwise, every single Mexican citizen is being asked to leave. We are suspending visas for Mexicans. They keep landing Guatemalans and stuff, but they help them across the border. They escort all the Latin America, South Americans all the way up here. We need to ask, as has done many times, that the embassy is shut down. We are cutting off all contact with Mexicans until they admit they're Mexicans. They make life very hard for you beaners.
That's unconstitutional, it's more likely to be poor. And we don't know the answer.
That's what say about the military DOJ.
Poor, you can't do what? Because you're poor! There's no word where you came from! You said poor! That's my word!
Absolutely control the purse.
Good word!
Control the purse strings of the military. So anything you say about the nature of congressional control, about the nature of congressional control over the military is going to be true, if not more so, than part of the government.
And no, I want to get back to the question to something that Destiny brought up because I think it's very important, and I'm not curious what Destiny thinks about this too. Do you think that Congress or the criminal justice system should have the power to prosecute a president for the drone striking of how do you say it?
No, that's not really the question.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but the problem is now I see like what's happened. It's always happens in every scenario that they start saying insane shit. That you could, like, actually, I have a question to, or I want to answer Pico's question now. The DOJ was created by Congress, so why would the coextensive powers or operation of the DOJ, which is authorized by Congress and the officer that is appointed there, so tell me, how could that be constitutionally immune? Like, it seems like you walk yourself into the exact trap that somebody's trying to lay you, where they're saying, like, oh, well, if the president can talk to his officers in the DOJ is literally made by Congress, how is that a foreign exclusive power?
Stephen, can Congress declare war on another country? Yes.
Yes.
Can Congress tell the president who to investigate for crimes? No.
No, but
They're not saying
hang on a second. Can Congress
You said Congress can declare war on a country. Can Congress deploy the military to another country?
No.
Okay, wait, so you identify a core and exclusive inclusive, right?
Well, the question then is, and this is going to be what would happen, and Peace hates it when I start doing this, because it's judicial realism, but when it goes back to the court, the question is going to be how do they define the role, and how do they police the boundaries of the role. And this is going to be a pretty technical analysis, where if we don't have briefing on and we don't have decision on, we can speculate.
Sure,
that's the only thing they ask.
I understand. But in good faith, we probably imagine a world where the Congress is the one that has to declare war and approve, the use of the military for war. But the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the military, who has offices underneath him for secretary of the army and all this, right, that he's probably the one that's supposed to conduct the war. That's probably true, right?
And I think probably what would happen if we're in a situation where the president used the military to assassinate a domestic political rival, probably, and I don't know if it's trees and things, that's a whole other topic.
When Obama ordered assassination squads on potential American citizens who are opposed to more Kenyan immigration. So they're trying to say no, I vote no on migrant relocation. Tell the UN to go fuck themselves. Tell the UN to go fuck themselves.
How do you really do that? The criminal review, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's say that you wait to assassinate Soleimani until he's hanging out with Obama. Why would this suddenly be allowed to be reviewable by a court? Would it be the exact same thing?
Well, I'm not sure. Soleimani is hanging out with Obama, and then they draw.
Former President Obama and the president in charge, not really.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Gaddafi hugged Obama.
Has this pretexted to have
have a drone strike to kill Soleimani, but that's the sort of stated rationale, and Obama died as a result, even though the true intention was to kill Obama. That's
Because Obama is a mullah. Because Obama is a friggin' is like a apostate mullah.
In this situation,
Like the mullah?
again,
Oh, money.
it's a long one, but there's another treaty argument I can make candidates if we're interested. I think the court's probably going to say is that this is other perimeter immunity, and then they're going to ask whether this is the kind of conduct that we're trying to
Wait, you have to explain why. You say it's outer perimeter conduct. You just granted
It's blasphemy.
of Soleimani with
Because he's insane.
would be core and immune.
Because he's a god.
Yeah, immune, I don't think it's cool.
Who else could order that strike?
He's a modern day Xerxes.
I think that Congress could pass a law that says the president's not allowed to do drone strikes of that nature.
No, I don't.
But it's not the president, it's the CIA. But it's slow.
It's not, right?
But it's slow. They're from an action, GMTI. Remember slow? All you need to put in, you need that geotag. When you get that GMTI, that gives you like a $300,000 top secret stateside job. $300,000 a year to analyze maps and determine where a drone strike. They need that jobs. That's their jobs. Don't you want $300,000 a year with a criminal indemnity where all you do is circle like buildings and shit to blow up with drones?
No,
Why not?
probably not. Because I think prosecuting investigating crimes is core and exclusive.
Why is that more core and exclusive than the president role of commander-in-chief in conducting the
You pass a law against
Oh my god.
I guess what?
What?
the use of chemical weapons. I don't know what.
Well, we signed into
The question is,
I said there's a law against calling people racist?
The use of a drone is
Or being racist.
If Congress can outlaw one weapon, they can clearly outlaw the use of another weapon. Dude, calm the heck down.
you were no, because people who defend this ruling, I'm sorry to say, sicken me. It sickens me. It really does. This ruling is absolutely lawless, has no basis in
Can I ask you a question? I do want to, hold on.
Sorry, audio was still coming through, but the screen was frozen. Is there anybody else on the live stream right now? I'm sure there is. It's just. Oh, Ruby.
Because, long story short, when I first tried to transition, somebody obviously noticed that in me and offered to go do stuff with me. Long story short, I was sexually assaulted. And a lot of the way he is just like triggers at me. He reminds me of my assaulter. And so it's I can't just
Drew?
off. And so someone asked me, do you think?
Or remind you of Destiny?
And my answer could only be like, I realize that there's no basis in reality for this. I realize there's no evidence for this. But yes,
I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna put it online, and I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna talk about the person who sexually assaulted me.
So
I'm gonna tell all my followers and everything, this person sexually assaults the young boys.
I do seem so.
Oh, that's why the title of my thing is What's Up, Doc? What's up? What's up, Doc?
Cruel to you to some degree, but he seems kind of like a mixed bag. Like there's some times where he seems like empathetic and extending care to people, or like he, is careful of like boundaries.
a lot more commonly studied women do not, though.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you're sending kindness to a woman, she's very attractive.
He was pretty kind about my psychotic episode towards him, so thank you. I guess that proves I'm attractive. I was not really attractive. I was 30 pounds heavier, chipped tooth. I sent him a picture of myself with
Oh
a
my
knot
God.
all over my face.
You need to get through your head that if you gain 30 pounds, you become less attractive.
Well, because I fully gained, right now I'm 145. My normal is more like 120, 130. I went all to 179. So that was like, for me, I just
Sounds big, but
I haven't been on a scale.
I know it's still like, cusp of like,
I haven't been on a scale in so long. I know it's hard to button pants. I'll get back to testing here.
Suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-5787.
8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources.
I made a mistake of calling it a VA line once. It wasn't for that. It was for, and it was like, oh, you're gonna kill yourself. And it was a woman. She was happy. See, the thing is that there are certain people who decide to save money by. See, you know how much money the government has to give people like me? Has to. But it's already given them all away. All these people have been like finding programs. One of my friends was talking about, if you've ever seen the it used to be all government programs, and this guy in a question, he had a question, would be dollar signs. Get your government grant today, here's a book of all, and it's like this huge book of all these government programs. My uncle guy, he because he's a white guy, and he was just talking about, I was like, none of the programs in there apply to guys like me. So the people, like, but that's government programs. And now they need, well, that's a lot of taxes. That is just a lot of taxes, guys.
You all part of that weird, Sammy, were you part of that weird Tumblr crowd, right? Oh, yeah.
No, I was on Tumblr, but I just
Oh, yeah, you were. I remember Sammy.
I bet you wouldn't mind what I do. Like, did you say it like that, Ben? Like,
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you like my shit.
No, that is not the, you rejected the military hypothetical that Stephen gave on ordering the military to do something, and now you're trying to bring in that Congress order the prosecution of a particular person when you rejected that very same framework for the military context. So stop with that.
I'm making the declare war without the president's consent.
Okay, I'm done my own question because you're just relitigating the same conversation you had, right? And we're not
I built the fund motivation, and I keep the boss.
beautiful.
I can upload it.
I understand.
I'll go to do the fund motivation.
No, it was painful. I mean, it was painful.
It's painful right now. We all have. I'm have to go back to Waxoid. This does that, right, about court hacking.
Well, yeah, I didn't even finish it.
Finish it. Okay, finish.
Yeah. So what people don't really care, though they should, about the number of justices. They should care about the number because the workloads, it's way too many cases, and we don't have enough justices just for administrative purposes. But people don't really care about the number of justices. They care about is the partisan balance of the court. That's what people care about, whether it's 2-1, or 5-4, or 6-3, or whatever the number is. What they care about is the partisan balance. And what we're talking about here are violations of norms that affect, because of illegitimate reasons, whatever you want to call those, that affect the partisan balance of the court. And so one has to wonder, why is it better for us to have a norm-shattering situation with American Parliament, which only requires that not even the consent of both branches and presented to the president, which the statute would require? Why is that better than just passing the statute to expand the number of seats on the court? If all it's doing is enforcing or using the powers already given to the branches of the government, then it's exactly 1-1. Yes, the Senate has the power to not have a vote on a particular candidate, and Congress has the ability to expand the number of seats on the Supreme Court. It's 1-1. They both have the power to do it. I would prefer a statute expanding the number of seats on the court, because at the very least you have bicameralism and presentment than the unilateral decision by Mitch McConnell in a norm-shattering way to affect the partisan balance of the court. Anyone who says that it's preferable, actually, to have that norm-shattering unilateral decision by one person as opposed to a bicameral presentment and signature by the president, I think has lost the plot and what people really care about.
Okay,
But if we did expand the court and you gave all observers, you'd be okay.
hold on. Before you go, I want to give it to Lockwood first, then we're going to let Statoid, then we have fire, and then we're going to give, and then we're going to keep on going. So, Lockwood, respond to that, then we, go ahead.
Yeah, so earlier, you told Ryan that, anybody who defends Trump's immunity case sickens you.
Yeah.
But I think people that give the court patent, that's sickens, okay? Court patent obliterate the third branch of government. It will completely obliterate the Supreme Court. You're going to have a tit for tat back and forth where every single election, every single president is going to put on 25, 30 years they're going to rule however they want, and the Constitution at that point is in the garbage. Now, when you're talking about the norm-shattering procedure, which I disagree with, by the way, but this norm-shattering procedure that Joe Biden advocated for doing back in 1992, no, I think that there is a substantive difference between doing this and throwing the whole Supreme Court out with court packing, just like it would be. There's a difference between that norm and the norm of just ignoring the Supreme Court. Like, I remember I was on a panel with you, and I said that, like, if the Supreme Court orders, this was about immigration and taxes, if the Supreme Court orders you to do something, not doing it is treason, arguably, right? And Abbott needs to comply with the Supreme Court. I was very forceful in that, and I'm forceful about it now. And obeying the Supreme Court is an incredibly important norm, much more important than the thing that, again, Biden proposed in 1992 that
oh my God.
You're talking to Mitch McConnell being unilateral. I mean, he was the majority leader for a reason, right? I mean, he was the one representative, and they had a majority of that house. So it's not like, oh, Mitch McConnell's just this fucking guy somewhere who just decided this.
I'm tracking everything you're saying, so let me respond. Number one, you agree that it is constitutional and legal for the Congress to expand the number of seats in the court, yes or no?
Yes, I want to treat this like a fucking deposition, okay? This yes or no bullshit, I mean, you do it during deposition. This is a conversation, and you don't have to feel this conversation, that's okay? I know. The point of the deposition, I didn't answer yes right away. Yeah, just to be clear, like, the full point of the deposition and what you do with this is to, like, try to box somebody into, like, a uncharitable position. I know, this is what we're talking to.
It's called biting the bullets. So yes, you agree that, okay, then I'll just give you the natural extent of what you just said, alright? You just agreed that it would be legal and constitutional for Congress to pass a statute expanding the number of seats on the court. Actually, I haven't asked you a question, I want to get to know. Wouldn't it be unconstitutional to ignore the Supreme Court's ruling?
Yes.
Okay, so isn't that a basis to distinguish ignoring the court and expanding the number of seats on the court?
Not in effect, because you can accomplish the same effect and completely undermine the purpose of that branch by passing the court. If you had Kamala Harris just ignore the Supreme Court when they're saying, hey, you can't do that, what they're trying to do with the student loan shit, by the way. But, hey, you can't do that, but then, like, oh, well, man, the Supreme Court keeps telling me, no, I can't do that. Well, I know what I'll do, right? I'm not supporting Congress to do this. I'm just going to flood them with 25, people off the street that are going to say that.
One thing that I care about, Black Floyd, I don't know you, is the Constitution. So when you say one of these proposals is constitutional and one's not, I think that's a pretty good basis to distinguish being okay with one and not the other. One violates the Constitution, one doesn't. I think that's a totally reasonable way to distinguish ignoring the court versus packing the court, which is absolutely within the constitutional purview of Congress and has happened multiple times in history. If you want to point to the multiple times in history, I guess you're just pointing to Joe Biden's, what he said maybe one other time 100 years ago.
I'm going
to interject here. Wait, what was the next thing again?
Joe Biden was arguing.
Joe Biden made one statement as the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee saying that maybe we should consider doing something different about nominating Supreme Court picks during like heavy election season. It was a statement made, there was no serious thing pursued, and the equivalency you're trying to draw here is fucking insane. Like, it's not going back to this because somebody in chat pointing out one thing to you, and you're like, oh, I finally fucking got him now, and now conservatives going to get take accountability for fucking nothing.
No. I think this is a great thing to point out. By the way, I found the New York Times, right? As Senator with Executive Bill Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. argued that President George Bush should delay filling a Supreme Court vacancy should want to rise until the presidential election was over, and that it was essential that the Senate refuse to confirm a nominee to the court until then. He was arguing for this. He was arguing that it was essential. He was asking what
Joe Biden has said some really dumb shit in his life. He has said some really wacky stuff. Hang on, because he was oh my god, that's not what it's about. I'm surprised, like, which is just wacky dissent for not being honest. I'm joking, but Lactoid, you were just giving a point of distinction between not following the Supreme Court and packing the court with seats. That is, one would be constitutional and one would be unconstitutional. Isn't that a reasonable basis for me, a left-wing person, to distinguish those actions based on their underlying constitutionality? Isn't that reasonable?
When you can legally destroy the entire land,
No, is it reasonable?
first of all, I don't think it's reasonable when both lead to the same effect.
Where's the
The concern I have is the destruction of the Supreme Court.
I could have found
I want to hear what that's.
Yeah.
Destiny, go ahead.
No, to pretend that like Joe Biden, who mentioned this one time when there wasn't even a vacancy, when he proposed the idea that in election seasons maybe there shouldn't be a nomination, to pretend that this is the same as what McConnell did is delusional. It's not even, and every time you can offshore, when the Democrats try to violate the Constitution, like they're trying to do with the student loan stuff, they're going to the Supreme Court for these things. What do you mean? When the Supreme Court says no, then they don't do it. Like you're just trying to tag these things on the Democrats whenever you politically can do so, which is ridiculous.
And pass it all the time away, like, go ahead, Ryan, sorry.
Didn't we agree earlier that what the holiday was like phenomenal for the whole law?
I started out by saying this, we started this whole thing off, we all agreed, yes, it'd be great to have an amendment that would prevent this from happening. But what I'm saying is that the argument being made from them is that these Republicans, right, they're saying they're angry. These Republicans are so unprincipled, they're so horrible, they're so evil, they don't even think to do this, they don't even push to do this. When it's like, well, this is obviously a problem, and this is something that we should fix, because we have the current Democrat president having advocated for this, right?
Let's agree with this.
Delay it.
Can we all agree then that nothing should change and it should carry on? But the next time a Republican president nominates somebody, the Senate should refuse to hear it just one time until it's even.
Why?
Wait, why not?
We all agree with that.
Right? We should all be okay with that, right?
Yeah, they don't
The fact that the fact that the Republicans don't immediately say yes, of course, shows the partisan hackery. That's it. It's all about partisan politics.
No, let me tell you, that's it. Hold on. No, it's not about the reason why I won't grant is because on principle, I am against this being a maneuver. In the situation that I outlined before, let's say Democrats and this Republicans 2 times over, I don't think this means that like Republicans should get a freebie, where they should be able to do this maneuver again in the future, just like I don't think they should be able to pass the court, just like they don't think the Democrats will pass the court.
If the Dems wanted to impeach a Supreme Court justice, then just to get rid of Amy, okay, to make it fair again, would you be okay with that? No, okay, cool, we're chilling. Since that was a really bad decision before, we should be able to impeach her.
No, okay, I'll make a concession, if you're like, listen, so the last time we had this court kind of all over the place, FDR, before 1937, like, okay, what did FDR also do? He basically waited it out, got his Supreme Court justice to efficient, and then what happened? World War II. What happened then? The attorney camp, I would agree that we should get rid of the presidential duty and we can agree to other stuff. If you agree that we should go and prosecute FDR and all those families for the crimes they
What are you talking about?
Because it's going to be federally
Okay, yes, let's do it. What about Bill Kennedy? I'm okay with that. Yeah, let's go.
So by the way,
I'm just saying, that's what they'll sound like right now. I mean, like, it sounds crazy fun.
by the way, your position would literally be that if the President of the United States ordered like a concentration camp on the same basis of the Japanese internment camps in Korematsu, and not only was it a concentration camp, literally started killing people as a military exigency, that he should be criminally immune. That's your position, by the way. Yeah, that's your position, by the way. So
If it was even signed, I think.
Well, and that's like, let's do Mike
having Dada's court lawsuit, just to be clear. Go ahead.
That's it. Go ahead.
So the court writing thing, the thing is that one, I agree that yeah, they blocked the pick, because that would be that by trying to get something through. One, it was already unconstitutional for them to not do it. Question is, what the fuck do you want us to do about it? And the answer is, I'm sorry, you should have brought it to the Supreme Court. There's plenty of things you could have done, but you didn't do them. And the idea goes, I therefore destroy everything. You're right, you could have the court.
Go to the Supreme Court to regulate their own Supreme Court thing for the validity of
wait a second, so you agree that it was unconstitutional for the Senate not to give an up or down vote on a nominee, given that it was unconstitutional, how could you possibly say that that action, which was unconstitutional, is better or less problematic than doing something that's constitutional?
Okay.
No, but we're gonna get an answer to this. How is doing something? No, sorry, I need an answer to this. He just said that it would be unconstitutional for the Senate not to give that vote. However, you must agree, Jetsu, that it's constitutional to expand the court. Explain to me why doing something that's unconstitutional with respect to the court is not destroying the court, but doing something that's constitutional is destroying the court.
Okay, so now, the answer, there's no right answer, or there's the right answer. There's a right answer, but go ahead.
Okay, no, so one, it is, so no, it's, I don't think it's constitutional, however, I'm not the one who gets the fucking decide that. You decided apparently it was constitutional, and I accepted the fact that
I'm asking you.
I know, I just said it wasn't, you're saying, yes, if something is unconstitutional, doesn't mean it's automatically worse than something that is constitutional. I don't know, where is that?
That's the answer, because if we don't decide what we want to happen, right? Morality is upstream of laws. Like, just because something is constitutional or unconstitutional doesn't make it right or wrong. If something is constitutional, allowed by constitutional, it can still be horrific and bad. Whereas something might be unconstitutional, but in certain circumstances, it might be something like, okay, there are certain circumstances it's not necessarily.
Well, I don't want to hear the structural
Constitutional or unconstitutional does not matter to the morality of the thing.
Yes, it would be constitutional.
So you think you would prefer that you use that than not do garlic? So if you could go, I get garlic, but when you drink
I don't support slavery. I don't support
The answer is yes.
I absolutely listen. If you guys are scared, you're not asking questions. Wait, so I'm not scared of your questions at all. You guys are making a structural argument that will destroy the institution of the court. That is not, as I understand it, a morality argument. If it's just opening, morality on the table, then now we can talk about results. Now we can talk about realism. Now we can talk about community. You open up Pandora's box to talk about any result that we want. But if you're specifically talking about the structure, the integrity, the lawfulness, you're destroying norms, then absolutely the Constitution moves laws for all of those. They are the upstream of what we consider to be our norms, our structures, our integrity. So no, your entire question, line of questioning is fucking stupid because your argumentation is based on integrity, structure, of our system.
The answer would be yes. You would support the system allowing you to add slavery back in. If that's the values of the society represented. Because if you add a system where you couldn't put slavery back in, but that means you live in a system where slavery could have never been removed. You respect the process. Okay? The process should also respect their values, right?
Whoa, Steve, whoa. Look, that's what the rights are for. The question, the whole point of the rights is to protect things against what the authority wants.
I don't know what you're talking to. You agree right now that we can create anything we wanted to in this country. We can make laws, if we pass a constitutional amendment, we can create laws that have infinite torture of every single person in this country. Yes, correct. Thank you. Yes. So we can amend our constitution into that. Yes.
Or you could just let your constitution fall and go back to pure power, where the king and the lords can take you and torture you. You don't have to amend the Constitution, just get rid of it. The Constitution's a piece of paper, just a paper shield. But you don't like the Constitution. That free speech thing's the same thing that keeps you from getting tortured.
They would have said political question and they would punt it 100%. Because that's what courts do when they're asking.
I don't have to agree, and I don't agree with the notion that this is a justiciable question. I don't think it's a justiciable question. I don't think courts can resolve it. But that doesn't mean that I don't still think it's unconstitutional. And Zetsu's, I commend him for being brave. Because yes, the courts are not the only ones who interpret the Constitution, as we all understand.
Yes, we're all interpreting the Constitution. And then yelling that people don't abide by our... That's why we do consensus.
Say that one process is unconstitutional, but wouldn't destroy the structure of the court, but another is plainly constitutional. It's part of the Madisonian Compromise, among other things. But that's not the Madisonian Compromise, but you understand what I'm saying. It's part of the Compromise.
Yeah, and what are the state's powers? What are the state's powers that aren't enumerated in the Constitution, that aren't addressed?
What's that?
So it was about severity. That's why. So the reason I said the whole slavery thing was saying It's about severity. That if you do something unconstitutional, that's less severe.
Is there anything in there against rape? Oh, does that mean that it's, if it doesn't mention it, does that mean it's okay?
Slavery, I would be far more against that, even though it's technically constitutional. The severity that it shows.
So let's talk about the severity. So let's talk about severity.
Severity of statutory rape laws between the states. If you drive an underage girl from across borders for the purpose of having sex with her in a state that's not illegal,
Effectively,
does she fall under the state she came from? Parents are angry.
Sorry, I was wrong.
Parents don't have a right to forbid men from dating their daughters. That's the thing. See, men don't have the constitutional right to say no. You cannot go out with him. Why?
Okay. Fair enough. So that is a situation we live in right now. If you want to talk about it.
Go out with him.
The other alternative system.
No, go out. Find out why, but don't come back until you tell me why. Don't come back until you tell me why you should not have gone out with
Whoever
him.
does the first one violation, they win.
You can't tell me why you shouldn't have gone out with him, then don't come back.
If the opportunity were given to Democrats to do the same thing Mitch McConnell did, would you be okay with them doing that? Given that Mitch McConnell has already done that. Blackfoot.
Yes.
I want to answer your question. I said no, but I specified very specifically because for me, by the way, somebody who didn't vote Trump last year, right? For me,
I don't care.
this is very much wrong because I'm just letting you know, like, I'm outside of like your partisan suit.
I didn't put you in
No,
a
well, well, you're asking the same question twice, right? And so I'm just being very clear here. For me, it is a principle thing, right? This happened once.
Yeah, if you get you not realizing the same question, you answer different, boom, you lie.
I'd be perfectly supportive of an amendment that would prevent it from happening again and limit the justice.
Here's the follow-up, Blackfoot. If the Republicans have that situation, they do it again. After that, would you be okay with the Democrats doing it?
No.
Let's follow up.
I'm gonna respond. If the Republicans don't get a chance to do it again, and the Democrats do it the next 5 billion times, okay? We're all already dead by that, okay? Maybe the next 100 times. Yeah, 100 times.
So you,
Even then, no.
masochism.
Why is it masochism? If you think that an action is wrong, right? So, for example, I think stabbing kids, look, I'm gonna, hold on, stop. This is my pen, I'm gonna fucking put my foot down here because I wanna get this out. Okay? If you think stabbing kids is wrong, right? And your kid gets stabbed, that's bad, right? Gets stabbed twice, that's also bad. Do we think that as a tit for tat, as, okay, well, he stabbed your kid, so I guess we're gonna let him stab your kid now.
I'm happy to answer that way.
Fair.
I understand your
Okay.
point. So Nick, I'm happy to know your point. I agree generally that just he did it. Therefore, what's it in that? There are some things.
Jaden.
Moral, if you want to say, threshold, whatever those things. I don't disagree with that foundation. But hang on. The whole value of this norm that Laptoid is espousing is that it's a norm. The whole purpose of the whole value of having this, like, we're not going to break up the court, like, we shouldn't do this, is to preserve what? Preserve the integrity of the Supreme Court. But I'm giving the situation to Laptoid. Wait, let me finish.
In order to have something else. So that's not the end goal.
The value that is being espoused by these people is that violating this norm of not giving a hearing and not giving a vote would disturb the integrity of the court. That's why they are principally standing against those actions. But I'm giving the difference.
Hey, Laura, remember Jaden Smith? Remember that? Like, oh boy. Listen to him cry over what's going to happen to his son because of you.
Whatever the court has been totally lost.
Yeah,
we don't agree with that.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Wait, let's say that, okay, two wrongs don't make a right, okay? The issue with the stabbing thing is that, one, it's hard to imagine how that benefits you, and then two, it's hard to imagine how allowing somebody, stop. It's hard to imagine how somebody stabbing somebody else is allowing, like, you to rejoice.
You did on that too.
Here's a question. Let's say that you're playing soccer, okay, between two teams. Let's say that one team has a guy tackle you right before somebody goes and kicks the goal, and then they score a goal, right? And now the question is, okay, well, hold on. Should this team be allowed to tackle their goalie when they go to kick their next goal, or do you just deal with the fact that now the score is 1-0 and you play the rest of the game like that?
So here's the
No, answer that question. I need you to answer that question. Oh, sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I can answer the question. The question is, this is going to be annoying, but I got to ask a question in response to see how I can answer it. Definitely, right? Do you think that the sports analogy is way out.
No, it's perfectly. It's a 1-to-1 thing. The score is now up 1-0 because they got a little cheat. Should you be allowed to do a little cheat in the same way to even the score, or do we deal with being down in points?
Do we want to normalize that as a thing that happens not only in this game, but in all games going forward? Because I think that there is value in saying, hey, this was bad, it needs to be penalized, we can redress it.
If you want to go very meta, I would argue. If you want to go very meta, no, that's not true. If you want to go very meta, then the answer is.
Did the D give him false hope again? The D gave cricket hope
The issue with the
again?
Republicans is they've been allowed to operate outside of the Constitution with impunity forever. I'm literally explaining. If somebody thinks that they can operate, oh, we got a free Supreme Court bit, that's fucking awesome. But the next norm violation, whatever they want to fucking do, they know that, like, at that point, they're going to have to say, oh, well, the Democrats are just going to do what's right, so we can fuck them over here and still get our huge edge, and then, we can't do 2 wrongs make a right, they'll continue to fuck around in the future. So if anything, I think that having the comeuppance, having the redressing of the grievance, would prevent those types of things coming forward in the future, because people know, well, fuck, if we fuck around, the other side's going to get there, and then we're going to be all fucked. So if anything, I think it would
That hasn't worked out, has it? Because what happens is a race to the bottom where each side is to say, well, they did it, so now we can't do it.
That's like
They did it, so now we can't do it. Harry Reid, if you do this,
Harry Reid is not the same. It's not the same. The Democrats saying it's a race to the bottom.
If they do this, right?
This is not saying it's a race to the bottom with an anchor and a boat. Okay? Yes, both of them are racing to the bottom, but one side is clearly the fucking wrong here. Harry Reid's suggestion was nowhere near on par with what McConnell ended up doing. He's not even close.
Jackson, he didn't make a Harry Reid.
When they did to start getting Supreme Court, it was because the Republicans refused to fucking not to actually hear the nominations.
It was the exact same thing with Garland. It was the exact same thing with it. And here's the ultimate killer question that Lactoid, I hope you're ready for this one. If the Democrats pack the courts,
Is it yes or no?
if the Democrats pack the courts, would you be in favor of the Republicans next time they had control packing the courts as well?
No. And I would very strongly, principally argue that we need a limit. We got a cap at 9. We gotta fucking do it. Absolutely.
Bullshit. I do not believe this. Put on. Do not pass a law.
No. This is what happens. Like, he's really angry. The man's answers a question, and then he answers directly, immediately. I don't believe. Well, fuck you then. I don't believe. Like, what am I saying? What's wrong after that?
Okay? You said earlier that you are conservative and you don't belong to his partisan political suit. Like, you have 3 retweets in a row of fucking Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, and Ed Wokeness. The idea that you're, like, beyond this political partisan... Oh my god.
Let me elaborate, because they let's put that in. Let me elaborate. The last 2 times I did the Libertarian Party, the past 2 elections, that's what I said. I don't support the partisan suit. With Kamala Harris being the nominee, and Joe Biden being the prior nominee, and the whole situation around that. I am definitely leaning more Trump this time around, for sure. I'm not going to deny that. Like, this time around, I'm leaning more Trump. This is due to, like, a number of circumstances leading up to this. It's not like, every single election. If you guys put somebody else, like, you put somebody else, I go to them.
What part of it are you using the Trump presidency with respect for the United States versus the Democrat presidency?
Oh, shit, it wouldn't be in trouble. This is like a very long time. I'm just
curious. We're applying so much, and we're not something we're putting in the Constitution over and over and over again.
Hold on, that specific statement, I absolutely disagree with that, and I disagree with that multiple times. But what Trump isn't doing is he's not threatening back the court, he's doing the same thing to that, and he's selecting justices off of the federal society court. Now, the federal society is
he's threatening to destroy the Constitution. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are already in right now. They haven't passed the courts. So why did you, Donald Trump has one after, it's constitutional, why would you assume that?
More one factor, then I'm like, I'm outlining the multiple factors you
on this one factor, you're completely dead wrong. You have you're out of seat.
There's one factor, amends, by the way.
The superior, to the Biden.
Answer directly, because there is a point here Biden and Kamala wanted the packet force, why haven't they done it already?
Ukraine.
Well, I would do that.
Is that the Ukraine flag, Jerry? Antonina?
There are.
You like? What was your name?
That's happening. This argument is exactly what, people argue against. Well, like, obviously it didn't work. But then, like, isn't the risk itself, like, a concern? And I would agree, the risk itself is a concern. Just like the risk of Kamala Harris for letting it happen forward. That's a concern too. Now, there are many other factors.
Address that thing very particularly, it's not the lack of crime though. There's a respect for the process on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, why is it Pence running with Trump? Because Trump has no respect for the process. Why didn't he put Barr up again? Where's the rest of his old cabinet? Trump is making concrete changes to the composition of his cabinet because he wants to be able to do those things going forward. And any good way out of them all are not even conservative.
Like, that you said there's a January 6th issue. I know. Well, I know. Yeah, I know you really brought up my weather. So I know that you said
more than one day, vice president.
I know you think that this issue is bigger than that, and we don't want to disagree. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to court actions specifically, Donald Trump is better than Kamala Harris on that issue. When it comes to selecting justices, Trump is better than Kamala Harris on that issue.
People don't understand that. It's something to expect that you are doing something to kind of overrule the notion that Trump is a threat to the Constitution. Why would you be in favor of the Democrats working to understand? Like, if the Democrats put in 1,000 Supreme Court justices, and Carolina would destroy the integrity of the Supreme Court, why would you be in favor of a different
Just to be clear, if you give me, like, if I have 1 to 2 options and I have to pick one, I would, as opposed to attacking the court, or I guess giving the Dems an ability to, like, skip a Republican, I would absolutely pick the latter, right? I would disagree with both. But I think it's interesting now, like, that's the one that's proposing. When initially, you were super in favor of attacking the court. Even you're saying that.
100%.
That is disgusting, or what you're saying.
I absolutely will turn that into a digress. But the question I'm asking is, Democratic Congress and Kamala Harris, if they put in 1,000 Supreme Court justices, would you be in favor of probably retake Congress and presidency, undo that by either removing those seats or adding their own?
So again, the question that I've already answered no, but I would want them immediately, and I would vote for them to do this if such a situation happens. I would want them immediately for the constitutional amendment in place, happening at whatever it is. Yes.
Okay, so then for the generation of 1,000 Democrats, like moving
You should ask me again if you want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's fine here. And anyone who respects the value of integrity of court, that basically Kamala is who comes to attacking it, consider that is a high value for you. And if you're going to vote for Trump, who will defend the Constitution, how could you not also in favor of undoing the damage done by either removing the seats of everybody who's been offered a position as a Democrat? That's the answer, right? So what reason more likely
I think it's more likely that Kamala will attack the court than Trump is to defend the Constitution.
exactly. We have evidence of Donald Trump doing all the things that conservatives pretend that Democrats are going to do. Asking DOJ, going to Fox News and saying DOJ needs to be indicting people. I'm trying to pressure people like, I said it, you know, not. Or start doing that. It was every single thing, every hypothetical thing conservatives worry about a Democrat win. The Republicans have already done it. But for some reason they're not worried about him continuing to do it with even more sit-up-banding administrators. Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever other than partisan hackers.
What the reason is you're more afraid of people are talking to you and government actually doing all this shit now, so now you're more afraid of all their.
Who are you directing your comments towards that? Who's that to?
I'm not pretty I would say just figuring that decision out.
I don't think it's an intention. I don't think that was questioning transgender, shows any contradiction. Yeah, so you ask, like, wait, isn't it your position that executive or not is going to be determined enough? And you put it that I happen to believe that you're going to come up right now. Yes, I do. And I would start asking you right now, would you rather have this Supreme Court for the next 10 years or another Trump presidency?
This is important.
Of course. And the answer is obvious because as mad as the Supreme Court is, and our opinion is very, very our fears of the Trump presidency are fundamentally existential because Trump undoubtedly has power in the moment to enact force and survival, and this time he's going to be unburdened by what is there.
What do you think? Well, let's put odds on it. If Trump is elected, I hope God is not, because I too take care of
More money you have.
right? If he does get elected, what are the odds? How much money would you put on him destroying America, or there being this fascist takeover of him destroying the Constitution? What would be your odds?
I'm not sure, but like, someone said destroy America, like, to me, my version of destroy America was significantly undermine the structural foundations of our Constitution. And for example, I would say that court packing, I wouldn't fulfill that, right?
You don't think court hacking is
100% no, 100% no. If you look at the foundation of this country, one of the, look back to Marbury versus Madison. People forget what was at issue in that case and what the court was cleaning up. It was the repeal of the Midnight Judges Act by John Adams. These fights over the judiciary, they're long-standing, right? If you look at Israel right now, they're having big talks about the jurisdiction of court. Congress has the power to want to explicitly by the Constitution to make exceptions to the Supreme Court. There's tons of people, who Congress is doing all the money. There are norms that what we're talking about here, when the President of the United States is engaging in conspiracy to stop the people's transfer of power, that is not in any place envisioned by the Constitution. So once again, just like the previous example, we were comparing the unconstitutional act in Jesse's mind of the non-giving of a hearing and the non-giving of a vote to the constitutional act of standing court. We're comparing apples and oranges here. All the power that Congress has in the Supreme Court, they are explicit in our Constitution. Your action of using it will be greater threat to our system than a president actually stopping the transfer of power is insane.
Sure, I don't think you can do that. It's unconstitutional from what they say. You can't do it.
That's what has already been passed, my friend. Realize it.
I don't think we necessarily are opposed to the idea of packing the court. It's the idea of packing the court for a partisan mean, right? Like if somebody were to say that, let's say theoretically, you expanded the court to 22 judges or whatever, how many judges we have, 11 or 13 or whatever, so that there's sort of enough Supreme Court judges to like wide circuit, be more active, more cases, we'll give it a different load, but we guarantee that the partisan of the court will remain the same. I think after arguing through all the arguments, it shouldn't be right now, because I think most people are like, okay, it's probably okay to expand the court in this circumstance. The issue with the expansion of the court is doing it in a hyper-partisan manner, which I do agree principally is bad, but the issue, and this is somehow conservatives are always able to fucking do this, okay? Like, a conservative will have their dick in your ass telling you, okay, that it's okay, we're not, yeah, exactly. They're like, okay, we need to stop the ass fucking right now, okay? While they're not in you, filling your
Destiny! Destiny was Frank!
and it's still happening.
Destiny, have you been leaking information? Frank Underwood?
Pretend like you don't have their dick in your ass.
No, this is
It's so mad. Literally, we use their own tactics. Mine, when we run about that a million times, I've already pointed out, hey, this is what
Yeah, pets don't close the door to women. The pets is quite comfortable closing the door to men.
Now, when you put forth, you go read the whole thing, you put forth the time change, hypothetical, so you didn't have. This way, like this, McConnell does it successful. And then lo and behold, now here we are, oh, we got outplayed, got the rules, let's change the rules. Yes, you're going to outplay it. This happened. Well, hold on, what's going to happen? This is what I wasn't answer. What are y'all going to do whenever y'all put forth these new rules and the Republicans outplay y'all again? Are you going to flip the table in front of the farm? What's going to happen? Like, I love it. It's a really good point. This is the show.
Yeah, if it's a new rule, I don't think that the powerful words on the playground. So on because the hierarchy of love and my people really ignored, my stepbrother's son said the N-word at school and then became bisexual. And he was having problems, well, his dad, he doesn't have his dad in his life that much. There's a whole generation of kids that have never had a dad in their life. And this term daddy is like really creeping me out. Yeah, really, see, there are a lot of men who are happy not seeing their kids. There are a lot of men who are just so happy to not be living with their wife and kids. And those of us who we used to live in homes, but we're not allowed to see our kids, like we have to be pedophiles and shit. So the only people I can think around who are so happy that all the pedophiles are out of their kids' homes are the gay ones. Because they don't care about kids.
But just to be clear, this is already gone, right? I agree with the analysis here of, yes, things are constitutional and bad, but things that
The rape allegations were already gone through. And the longer it goes through, case closed.
and the people who
Case closed.
is really bad.
Are you saying now that you want to leave that needs to go by
Tariq Nasheed says all police are race soldiers. Look at a person in the uniform. They are a soldier for their race. Lauren McCluskey's murderer was working for the Salt Lake City Police. It's the same bouncer from Tabernacle. I'm a witness, 2015. Tabernacle, downtown Salt Lake City. Bouncer, karaoke night. Magic Man. Amber. Insane friggin' Nat. Is that Natalie Wood?
This is me exercising originally because I'm coming to the answers based on the law, right? But politically,
They said the police laughed about it. The police were passing around the video and laughing about it. Because I guess all the police have sex videos with their banging women.
That'd be perfectly legal if we pass an amendment allowing that.
Yeah, police officers aren't going to get beat up by an order because they're getting out of jail. You never seen one where the woman's having to go to jail? Yeah, we don't like the friggin' hard that bad boys out of jail, but
Then I would.
boy, that's a nice looking piece. That's my friggin' Jamal. Jamal then you had a police officer when his career in Baltimore's over? The friggin' game changing MVP like the running back who throws?
What do you want to say? very warm that we care about. If right now, the Republicans, under McConnell, absolutely, everyone here would agree that it was a significantly damaging thing that McConnell did with respect to the non-ballot and the voting. Everyone agrees with that.
They can always say, well, hold on, oh my God, you guys keep talking over me, I don't know what to do, but this is the mistake that a lot of people who are white people are going on with. That, oh, it's already identified, you can't possibly get worse. No, everything can always get worse. And I think that as bad as it is, you are correct. Trust in institutions across the board, not just government, right? But the military, even though they're still majority military, it's the lowest it's ever been, right? In every single institution we have in America that I'm aware of, academia, science.
Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think that's happening? It's because conservatives are, you have a president or an ex-president who's white who doesn't even believe in the results of the election. Conservatives have no idea what
Bro, are you kidding me? We have a president right now that keeps telling us the economy's good, inflation's at an all-time high, we have all this other shit going on. Like you go to the grocery store and you just have.
We were young once. We were soldiers. And they still did not see us. Forgot. We were young ones, and we were soldiers, and we had sweethearts, and we had home. And then, good Lord, we're here. We were young ones, and soldiers. Proud and fears, defenders at home. Some got lost along the way, who do not know us.
Like, for example, a couple is when we tackle, right? There's obviously something that's
Let's say that.
it's crazy. I don't think that us going into, well, now we're going to tackle work, we can't fix that problem. I think the answer to that problem is to reverse the decision to wind back on. Yeah, when things come like that. You can't simply rescind all the appointees that were appointed by Trump.
Oh, yeah, really? So you would be in favor,
Absolutely, yeah.
really, so you would be in favor, for example, of passing a law that removed all of the seats from the people who were added by the Republicans. Is there?
No, because
Really, you just said that.
Well, I'm each one swapping Garland after the other day.
You said that my revenue wouldn't be a counter tax, but it would be to get the level playing field. That's what you just said.
it is, however, not
Okay.
all the,
Okay, so what revenue would
and
you
not,
cost?
it's all issues of the thing, the idea is we're passing the thing like that, we're not, the flattening the terms, that
Okay, so I'm proposing you a, I'm proposing you a counter situation, not for that. You are undoing by statute, you are by statute, getting rid of the seats that were added by law in this hypothetical, okay? And those are still judges, they're still being paid, okay? But they just don't have to do the work, but it's okay? So switches, that would be a remedy. But it's not court backing. It is court backing to remove those fees.
No, it is a remedy.
Okay, so you agree with it?
A remedy for
In the hypothetical, right, so I'm gonna repeat that for a second.
House Republicans,
Yes.
get rid of those protections, yes.
Okay,
I'm
so,
saying that.
so I'll give you another example then. So suppose that Mitch McConnell does not give a hearing to a particular justice, never has an up or down vote. Would you be in favor?
You probably picked up my audio.
Why?
I was doing it like a YouTube short.
Running the thing where he had added to the court and
Steve was like, he uses his real name and everything. Not all the time.
remedy. I don't know what that remedy could be, but to be clear, I don't have.
Just means he knows me.
But I can tell you.
Is it right, Alden?
idea that, oh,
Alton.
we did it, so we can do it too. I respect that.
Stephen did told you, right? No, hang on a second. We are not talking about tit for tat. I specifically am giving you a remedy that is not a tax. Now we are
Disney.
It's not a counter tax.
He's gloating about his like nice middle class life and stuff.
What they care about is part of the town. Explain that. I thought you agree with that. Like, why would you be in favor of undoing what the breach of norm that McConnell did by just
Lock us out of the gated community, huh? Lock us out of the gated community?
I don't care about the question balance. I care that the court is deciding fairly on what it is that is partisanship should be counted. There's one norm.
Thank you for building us this arc. Now kill them and lock them out.
The norm you're trying to defend is premised on the lack of partisan control in the court. That's the whole norm that you're trying to defend. Do you agree that norm is
This gets so sidetracked. So, I don't know if you remember during COVID, it got, well, people monitoring stuff going on in the streets. That's the thing. A lot of people don't have access or knowledge where to find live streams and RSS live streams like Austin Zone. If it hadn't been for channels like Austin Zone, I don't know what Unicorn Riot was up to, but yeah, the Austin Zone. Just all these different feeds coming in from all cities. Of course, Pentagon has that kind of stuff. Even more. Even more. All the city cameras.
What I am proposing would make an end, but you don't need to repeat someone, you just get rid of their
Yeah, so they put themselves in mountains. And how many of these? Well, I'm not trying to violate any national security things about the top secret fallout bunkers, the underground facilities. It's a government running like under this place.
and add a Democrat.
You know, there's also a hobo government, and apparently there's also a hobo government like the miners' courts. It's like, how do people function so long without the federal government here? This is like a place the federal government forgot about, because it's not desirable. You get out here and it's just not desirable.
Is it tit for tat if you come back? Is it tit for tat? Is it tit for tat if you come back?
Yeah, it's the union's a single-man army. It's just what it is. It's just you keep marching. You just keep marching. Keep marching. There are people opposed to the union. There are people opposed to the union.
The Supreme Court seat, yes.
It doesn't belong to you.
It did. It belonged to Obama.
No, you gotta play. Let's just let
What belonged? Oh, the woman. Michelle belongs to no one. I told her that. I said, Michelle, I don't own you. I don't own you. I wouldn't try. Wouldn't even try.
Ideally, we're in the Disney should be both blue, and no, that's not.
Michelle is what you call problems. Michelle is what you call problems.
Somebody ends up retiring, and that
We're
was
from the same place.
that's not a win.
How's that not a win?
It's in our favor. That's not a win for you. What do you know?
flip the table. Alright,
Every time Gibbs says something like this, as well as it being fucking stupid,
It's true though. I don't know everything you said for a while.
no, it's actually, it's both stupid and very insightful. It's stupid because he's showing his hand, and it's like a very...
I'm not trying to hop my hand.
Throw a gang sign.
Get on it. I'm like a trick to me.
I mean, it's a freaking yoga thing of some sort. That's why we have to be very careful with our hands. We do spells.
100% true. No one actually cares about the number of seats. They care about the rulings.
I can't even-
They care about the rulings on jobs. That's what Lacroix is caring about. He's caring about having conservative...
As many meanings as you want to put into that.
And agrees with. That's what
You have to have the right cipher. Because anybody could write down names of hands. That's why people are doing this all the time. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Everything's cool.
But I want to ask you a question. When you were going
This is susceptibility of paranoia. Should a white guy be doing the hand signs?
Now, I already was clear that I still oppose that, but my question for you is why didn't you come in your talk proposing that remedy as opposed to the much more incendiary court action?
Oh, I'm happy to do both.
Hold on. So if we do the non-court packing remedy, then you're fine court packing off the table.
Just to be 100% clear, if Justice Connell would ever do that thing with Merrick Garland's seat, I would not be in favor of court packing. So my belief that it should be passed has to do with what Merrick Garland did in 2016-2017.
This is a problem.
I would not be in favor of it if he never did that.
One Republicans, partial Republicans, you got the ones on this panel, would say the exact same thing in reverse, that they wouldn't be okay with what McConnell did if Harry Reid hadn't done what he did when he changed that. This is what I'm talking about when each side...
Or when Joe Biden did what he did.
Joe Biden didn't do anything. I'm happy to run that clock back with you, and what you'll find is the people who quote-unquote started it was absolutely Republicans, 100%. And that's the game you want to do. And who has the bigger violations of norms? Absolutely, Mitch McConnell has a bigger violation of norms.
They have so many pictures. They went from one picture.
I don't know where it is.
Everything Joe Biden has ever said.
Do you ever see Jeff throwing grain signs? You see, a lot of people never saw Jeff niggering out and shit. You never saw that dude when he was like just wow. It's just like watching him just. I mean, that Jamie Kennedy, that had nothing on Jeff. Jamie Kennedy's black guy had nothing on Jeff's black guy.
There's a world where
Jeff,
the idea that he's suggesting...
Jeff's not in this picture, but we got some other ones.
When there wasn't a vacancy. Maybe there is some legitimate argument to 4 months before President...
I think that's guitar fillers. I think, or is this our R&R?
There are some reasons why...
George.
The fact that that was suggested...
You again, George?
Okay.
Who are we with? This is a midshipman thing. Jeff. Have you run into Jeff? Is anybody in positions of power run into Jeff? Jeff. Where are we? We got it along so good. Now I love this. I think she's so mad at me. Whoever this is, whoever this Jessica is, this in Toontown. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't remember this day. I remember having fun and good times and vaguely. Somebody, is this okay? Is this okay? Who is that? That's not Justin Trudeau. But is it okay? Is it okay to wear afros? Wear afros and having like a black theme night? And is that appropriate behavior? I need a witness. Can I get a witness? Yeah, guys are cool cat. I was suicidal for a minute. I would have been in a way that would just be like they had such pity for me and wouldn't have to pay all that money back. And it was an interesting situation. I want to talk to him about like how society's changed. He got picked on a lot, I'm going to tell you. Such a nice man. I mean, he might lose it someday, but that's only if he doesn't have the backing of all the people who, there was a website called, in 2015, when you're closing down stuff, people who want to work for people who work for KBR, who work for KBR anywhere in the world. Yeah, like over 15,000 people on it. Asking about to say us some KBR jobs in different places.
The idea that you have the current Democrat president, right, advocate for this.
And well, there's some non-English speaking people baking bread in Gaza. I saw some video. This last Mahmoud sighting was about 3 weeks ago. The crowd was like baking like on open air stoves bread for.
He said, quote, as a senator more than 2 days, or a senator more than 2 decades ago, Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. argued that President George Bush is delayed going to Supreme Court vacancy should one arise until the presidential election was over, and that it was, quote, essential, quote.
Why are you reading this? You said you've been reading this. Read the first paragraph of your highlighter. You got it from Biden said. Yeah, I'm not reading the quote from Biden. You're reading the first paragraph. I'm reading the same way, yes.
Is it inaccurate that he said it was essential that the Senate refuse to confirm a nominee to the court till then? Are you saying it's wrong?
I'm asking you for the quote.
The word essential is the quote that I'm referring to. Okay?
You just took out essential. You just put essential out of the thing, and then the entire your summary. They say this is what happened with the railroad one, corporation's person or something. It said that the actual Tom Martin says it was the court clerk. Since people just read the summaries, the court clerk summary, the summary is that actually what the case was. So what was that? What year was that?
Biden isn't threatening this. The idea that it's forceful doesn't make sense. There was no vacancy even, okay? And McConnell didn't do what Biden did. McConnell, with support in the Congress, and he threatened this earlier with Reed.
I didn't use the word, if I did, I apologize. I don't think I used the word threaten. I said it is forcefully argued, and you called it essential. I'll ask you, did Mitch McConnell do what Joe Biden said was essential?
This is a reserve lieutenant. This guy remember the admiral? Remember Admiral he was having this conversation. Way back. He was making dishes in the back. It is third. What are you all speaking? He's like, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot chipmunks. I look at me face there. I hope they don't have the attitude of the chief. You know what they say about chiefs in an instance. You get up to that senior master chief in an instant. An incident is in 01.
And he said, quote, that is what is fair to nominee and essential to the process. Right?
By the way, I disagree with Joe Biden.
I the reason why I'm going back to this, I'm going to disagree with Joe Biden. I disagree with Joe Biden too on this. What I'm saying,
You're the biggest part of what I said. He also said, some people criticize the state doesn't want the state to see what votes and I can't even read what Joe Biden is. Well, listen and shut the fuck up and listen there, okay? But that would not be our interpretation. If that were the court, we were to choose the Senate to not consider holding hearings until after the election. Instead, it would be a pragmatic conclusion that once the political season is over, and it is, act on Supreme Court nomination, let's be put on until after the election. But yeah, that's it. Well, then maybe you should hear the clean check off the things that you
just to be clear, right? I would say, based on the quotes that Destiny read in the newsroom, it seems like Mitch McConnell did fulfill what Joe Biden argued for. Now, I think they're both wrong. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is wrong. And this is wrong, great. But the characterization of this is these fucking Republicans. They're never held any standard. They always do whatever they want. They come in here, they propose this, and then they oppose court packing. Oh my God, this is unreasonable. When Joe Biden, who's the current president of the United States, proposed this and argued for it, and he called it essential.
One, he didn't do it, and two, maybe, I don't know, maybe this will go on to be here. I think that we would have a slightly less problem with what happened if they would be stuck to the very fucking rule that they proposed, and they ignored on 80s nomination.
Why do you roll your eyes last way? Look, if they establish a rule, even assume that we have to agree with Joe Biden, which I do not. To be clear, Joe Biden does not bind my opinion about what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, what forms will violate or unviolate. For example, proposing a normal violation and then doing a normal violation. Just so we're 100% clear. But even accepting that I have to bind Joe Biden saying, Mitch McConnell is a very rule. So how can that not be a basis to correct it if they're violating their own norm?
Well, so here's the reason, right? I believe you're following.
You're reading it?
Okay.
Super capital.
Yeah. I the problem with it, as long as it's, I'm not sure he would, but he heard otherwise said. Maybe, I'm critical, yeah, maybe, did I just say not as much?
Yeah, no, you'd be okay with it.
Okay, maybe not as much, whatever he said, we'll take back, and let's do it in his own words, okay? But like, if he's up to the same rule. But like, here's the problem, like, it's not actually clear what norm was necessarily created by this model. The norm could be, actually, you get to do this in, well, actually, which I disagree with, again, so it's 8.5, the norm could be, we'll just feel like we're writing norm.
On Tuesday.
Hold on, I'm not sure, not Tuesday, no, not Tuesday.
Where am I missing?
So if like Congress is in control, like then they got the majority here, then like that's the norm created. Then they do get it away.
And if he happens to have gray hair, and if he's married an Asian person, that's the stupidest thing to be
You can hear demos what I can pay for my clarity for me. I said at the beginning that I think the whole norm violation was a problem, and then I think it was wrong when Joe Biden proposed to contact you, and I think it was wrong when Mr. Donald did it. But what you're saying,
why do you think the norm could reasonably be construed as having something that was never argued that
because it could be, because Mr. Connell didn't necessarily violate his own norm. That's the only thing.
They said that they didn't want to nominate somebody in an election year. That's what they said, and then they did it forward. Who's the guy that everyone says is gay, and he was another senator that came out and he was like, oh, well, yeah, Lindsey Graham literally said, I think they asked Lindsey Graham verbatim. They said, like, oh, well, will you nominate somebody in Trump election? Oh, no, we definitely would. Guess what? They sure as fuck did.
And you want to know his response when he was called out, he said, well, the Democrats did a Kavanaugh was hearing. That really changed everything. I mean, how are you ever going to take
Also, if you want,
That was probably
Wait, it's not the point, wait. It is not the point. It's not the same, right? And you need to read by his own response to these accusations. My record as Judiciary Committee Chairman is part of it. I presided over the process that resulted in Justice Kennedy a ready nominee being confirmed to the Supreme Court in a presidential election year. I know the nominations of Judge Bork and Justice Thomas proceeded before, even when they didn't have the support of the committee. While some stated by Congress in June 1992 committed to a more politicized nomination process, they didn't prevent the Senate from fulfilling its constitutional duties because there was no vacancy at the time. So when he's called to do his task and follow what the government and the norm say to do, then he did. So the idea that he suggested an idea when there wasn't even a vacancy, somehow that's the equivalent to McConnell pulling through on some rule that they didn't even follow later on. They obviously didn't. And the fact you went home that is hilarious to me. Who shows you no values and no principles and no understanding of English language is insane. It's a stupid comparison.
Okay, real quick. So, the fact that you're just reiterating this, right? You're just repeating what you're saying, like, oh, well, it didn't actually happen. He threatened it, but like, he didn't actually pull the trigger. I understand. It didn't actually happen. You don't repeat that for the fourth time. Hold on. But he did argue for it. And he did call it a sure. I already said those facts. So when we're talking about him, Biden doing that, he absolutely did say what he said, and he argued for what he argued. Now, if what you're saying, which is like the details specifically about Mr. Powell saying, like, I'm establishing this principle that this won't happen.
We didn't even tag anyone.
Regardless of the composition of Congress, and then he immediately like violated that and coming there, then like yeah, it's being critical there. Sure, I get it.
So whatever the statement a couple of years ago where Biden said he doesn't support like Supreme Court expansion, wouldn't that count more than any other type of statement made from 1992?
Well, just to be clear, like Joe Biden is much more difficult for me to find like stuff on him saying he's in favor of court packing, but Kamala Harris is much more explicit, right? That's why I'm specifically talking about Kamala Harris in the court packing. Joe
I remember, I haven't heard her saying that. This isn't a conversation I see in the stumps.
You could say that Kamala was being hypocritical when Harris. You could also say that like
Yeah, it's basically like, he's like, I'm a normal person. I have the same concerns all of you have. And, well, I was representing the people. It's a brand new president. What does she know about how this stuff works?
No, but he argued, no, Joe Biden.
You want the president to do your paperwork for you? Is that it? Is that it? You can't go down to the court place and get your own paperwork? I'm making my own civil litigation. I'm deciding my retaining my attorneys as consultants. But well, we city council, they have a representative. We make 60% of the hotels in America are operated in conjunction with the Asian Hotel Owners Association. 60% and growing. But of course, the way they do these things is because people see just the one name of the corporation. So, Patel, I got Rosagio Patel. If you've seen the league, if you've ever seen the league and see what the prizes at the end.
I think that's part of.
So which one is the one that has the stock rejection?
He said, if there was a situation where this occurs,
Tinnavan.
guess what? Then they're going to follow this.
Tinnavan.
Hold on,
Now we
here's
get
an
back.
easy question if I could understand this. Let's say Biden's still running and he was.
Our Patels.
What do you think is the bigger concern?
So yeah, this was
Or somehow using the Senate.
I can't find the hotel that forbid me from ever staying there again. Well, the hotel staffed it. They don't. The manager doesn't give the name out. They have no names. The managers. It's just manager at. And so to look up the name of the business license, can't find it. And the last person. Couture. Oh, if you haven't seen it, I still haven't brought myself to go to Velma. Velma? Is it Velma or Velma? She's not, it's not quite as dirty as Savita out there. Yeah, these Rajas have some of them they're so ready to speak English about watching rich uncle have sex with auntie or mom. They are dirty. Dirty. What year was this? Ace Hardware got a penalty certification. It went from like penalty chamber latest penalty certification by SI, that's Sports Illustrated. That's a legacy. Who's running Paula Dean's sausage empire now? Oh, remember, it's just a matter of going through, having enough time to go find that time when you said that word. Somebody's sweating because somebody read a book that they didn't know they wrote. Yes, gritty crime novel. Did you read The Wire? The book that the television show with people that I don't remember. But those fictional big city slums. The French small corporation system.
When the Democrats want to reestablish their own prominence and go by the rule that you set, which is the rules don't matter, the rules don't matter, and you start crying, stop it. We're not. This is a bullshit where we have to be the ones constantly to be there with them more. And for you guys to nominate someone like
Grover Beach.
who is so absolutely anathema to the northern institutions of this country. There's no world in which I'm going to do that self standard. None, zero. As long as we're doing it, constitutional, we can do it. We're going to go out. You play certain stuff you want. No. We don't care. So no. So, first of all, I don't even agree with the filibuster tool against democracy. I don't think it's a necessary thing. What the Senate and the Supreme Court are too against democracy. Yes, sir. I'm fine to limit democracy. Yes, that's true. And I think it's cool. that
Additional officers. Amy! Yeah, okay, Amy has a new job now. Mr. Amy. So marriage and convenience. We have a lot of political couples, marriages of convenience.
That is all fine. But you acting as
Well,
the filibuster is something very constitutional. It's the rule says. And you acting as though passing the court is an after or a Congress. And you
Yeah, but it's also, you know, we did draw things that are Congress and stuff that are just the population. So yeah, you're right. We need to get the accurate in order to like determine how many justices. In order to determine how many justices, like how many Congress people. Yeah, that's another problem. There are just too few congressional representatives. We need far more because when the first congressional seat, yeah, we haven't kept up representatives. I know that would deflate the value of the current ones.
I think that filibuster is absolutely illegal in this time and this day and age, and we're given far too much leeway. This Supreme Court has tasked by Mitch McConnell to have a fiat over our legislators. Absolutely, I 100% you're talking about the initial one, yeah, all of that is fine. 60 vote threshold is completely I agree.
Well, the alternative is giving the filibustering do you think that will have any federal courts? If you choose between, no, you can't choose between one. If you choose between no federal judges and
Why answer this question?
no federal judges or breaking the filibuster and appointing governors. The answer to the question.
Would you prefer a world in that situation of no nominations of the lower federal court or breaking the law? Would you prefer, right? Answer the question. Ryan, answer the question. Which world is preferable? Answer the question. Have a backbone. What would you rather? Would you rather get beat up constantly or get answer. This is the point for that. Wait, this is not the point hypothetical. This is the point. This was the choice. Wait, right. This was the choice presented to the Senate Democrats. The choice was break the filibuster or no federal court. And what I'm asking you is, what would you have done? So is the answer the preferable? I'm answering the question before. So you think I didn't ask you. I'm asking which world is preferable. Which world is preferable? Which world is preferable, Ryan? I'm not a genius. No. Why don't you answer it with a backbone? I asked you, is it preferable to have none of your judicial appointees ever considered or to break the filibuster? That's the question. Which world is preferable? No, I'd like you to answer that question. Which world? Talking about backbone or lying right now. Why don't you answer it? Can you frame that for them? Because you're scared. Because you're scared. Because you have no backbone, and the truth is, you understand how ridiculous it sounds. You understand how ridiculous it sounds.
You sit in a scenario of things like, hey, would you rather smack Oprah McCarthy or like go out there and score with an ace? That's what you're doing. You can't do that. You're scared for not answering that, but then you just present it.
The frustrating thing is it always feels like Democrats
support them getting rid of the Supreme Court filibuster?
No.
I'll ask last one. Would you be okay with them? Were you okay with the?
I wish we had it, because then we wouldn't have a 6-3
Wait,
report.
Last one.
Just to be clear, I don't have, like, this is the further I handle. I don't have anything.
You have no idea whether you would have been in support of the Supreme Court filibuster.
Yeah, I'll look into it and get back to you.
The whole premise of this argument has been that the Democrats of these Pandora's box when they got rid of the nuclear option.
That is your option. I don't
You are more responsible. No, they're not. But there's no responsibility, no accountability. You're against accountability, so there's no responsibility. No, I'm not against accountability. I'm against the board of accountability. Which is actually accountability. Here's the question. Here's a simple question. Can you think of one compromise? Really, you come to the table and you go, what's one compromise the Republicans have made that's the equivalent of the War Bush election of 2000? What's one compromise they've made that's the equivalent of the Ronald Reagan party? What's one compromise? What is a compromise between politicians or with it was the Supreme Court absolutely shut it down. It doesn't compromise like that. It's ruling. It's a different thing. Can you give me one example? Can you give me one? No, it's not. No, to be clear, it's not. Okay? Because the Democrats walked away from that election, and that was the end of it. Donald Trump, who do you think accepted the results of the election? Yeah, as any red-blooded American people. Look, right? You know that today, 80% of like Republicans said the election, the last election was still not procedurally fraud, not public fraud, but thought that it was voter fraud, not voter fraud. 80%.
Should I buy you from like one of those Eastern European worldwide websites?
Not even remotely the same thing.
Yeah, the orange being black, crazy guy, he also had a... I mean, it's a choice, guys,
I want an example from anybody on this panel where Republicans have been forced to compromise when they've been in a position of power or to do otherwise. A single time. Just one example. That's 20 years, 25 years of governance. Trump tried to pressure and force McConnell to get rid of the filibuster when he was trying to get through the legislative attack. The Democrats used the filibuster over and over again to stop that dog tip legislation.
Now, the filibuster used to be a person talking. Now it's him saying I'm filibustering and is walking away.
No, we're going to keep this in place. We're not going to do that. That's the Republican Party fighting against their own president. I'm asking about them compromising with the Democrats.
Well, they're doing that in a compromise with the Democrats, right?
They're compromising with themselves because that's what's destroying the Republican Party. I'm asking, when are the Republicans...
Well, he's driving all the... Oh my God, he's toxic. It's just going to be the white people party. It's just going to be the white guy party. Oh. I'm not a Republican. I was registered because, like, Michael Keaton and stuff, I had to be successful. My dad was a loser. And I listened to Rush Limbaugh.
When the Republicans were debating with themselves, they compromised. Well, that's kind of like a compromise.
You think McConnell preserved the filibuster out of principle? Are you insane?
You think he did?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. He didn't.
Okay.
He preserved the filibuster.
They're all bad actors.
They're all. McConnell is a bad actor. McConnell is a bad actor.
A racist union shop? What is this?
Bad actor, but he has principle.
The first thing they do when they win that contract or refuse to hire these multi-talented, look at his resume. Look at the resume.
I will. I just want Rick to say it. McConnell supports Trump. Yeah. So what good that was?
Compromising with Democrats? Do you think that compromising with Democrats means they use Death Trump? There's a whole part of it.
But this was no compromise. What you're talking about is a tactic by Mitch McConnell not to do something out of principle, but out of self-interest. He didn't need to break the filibuster to do what they wanted. What they wanted was tax breaks for the rich.
Trump didn't want to break the filibuster to do what Trump wanted.
Let me finish my answer. So what McConnell wanted for his filibuster was lowering taxes on billionaires and on rich people. wanted additional punishment. And when it didn't suit him, he did break the filibuster for Supreme Court case. So everything you're saying is opposite. McConnell was only operating in his own self-interest. To the extent that there would have been, like, some tension with Trump, it was McConnell putting his own agenda first.
It's
Everything you're talking about is complete garbage.
it's the Walking Dead people who like remember Daryl's brother.
Well, the did not have
The legislative filibuster.
What's Daryl's brother's name?
in time of what you're advocating
Yeah, you.
when you say we gotta get them back to what they did. Right? We gotta
Here's the question for you, Rich. If you think that it's McConnell right now, do you think that it's McConnell? Do you think that it's McConnell that you if you think that if McConnell thought it was in our own interest and his party's interest to get rid of the legislative filibuster, that we wouldn't have gotten rid of it?
It wasn't.
It wasn't. They already passed the tax cuts. They already got their Supreme Court fix. There was no interest in doing it. Donald Trump is just a fucking retard. Donald Trump doesn't know what the three branches of government do. Okay? Donald Trump is just complaining to him that he wanted the filibuster gone for no fucking reason. McConnell didn't have the votes in his own party to get rid of it. It wasn't impeding their progress on anything. They'd already gotten all the shit that they wanted done, essentially. Like, no, it wasn't going to benefit them to do it.
And to the extent they didn't, it was because they had defection in their own party. It was because of Murkowski and Collins. And
that's why we had the filibuster today, because he affected the Democrats.
No, but it wasn't a
Yes,
problem.
yes, that's true.
Sorry, no. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem of getting 51 votes in terms of the Affordable Care Act being repealed. They couldn't even get 50 votes. So at no point was Mitch McConnell's agenda at risk because of the filibuster in such a way that he would have an incentive to get rid of it. It was all internal interest. You are so naive to think Mitch McConnell that is like somehow tuned in by principle or dedication to the filibuster. It's so naive.
Look, the respecting of senatorial norms, such as they are, is one of McConnell's key points in favor of this.
You're so wrong. When they tried to repeal the ACA, they lost by 2 votes, 49 to 51. They changed norms there to repeal the ACA because that was the thing they wanted to do, and they tried to change the filibuster rules there in order to do it.
And they wanted budget reconciliation. They were doing all sorts of
when it suits them, they'll do it. Yes, but you can't say, well, there's legislation that we've got 30 votes for in the Senate. Well, let's keep the filibuster in. Wow, they're so principled. Oh my God, look at how principled they are. Keeping the filibuster. They have 30 votes. It doesn't matter.
That's not an example, Wick. That's not an example. There was no incentive when we break the filibuster.
Any example I can give you that you would accept.
Because there's no proof. Because there's no example. Republicans are never expected. They're never expected to concede. They're never expected to compromise because Republicans are the insane fucking dude in the padded cell that you're asking us to go on a walk with. Republicans do not
I had a phone call at the Green Party about this.
HR 6136, the Board of Security Immigration Reform Act.
So,
They actually want to
which
give
one are we on?
plus some to what the Dems had in basically the most recent immigration reform bill, and Dems were getting, and Republicans were getting the wall. The only thing they didn't
Sergeant
have
at Arms.
the Dreamers, and guess what? The Dreamers didn't even get added to the most recent reform act, and so they shut it down just saying, because basically
Filibuster?
even though they were trying to compromise that stuff.
Fidelity bond obtainer, finance and budget committee.
So they took that.
See, the Constitution, that's probably in the Senate rules and stuff. These are just recommendations.
Hold on. So here's the compromise, is what got
Sergeant.
to get there. They had a full bill, which gave you everything plus more.
No, this isn't necessarily like the government has to use this for assemblies and stuff. Just over years, they just found this. Otherwise, you just sit around for hours and people scream at each other.
And Schumer said, well, if you don't put the Dreamers in there, no, they still compromise. You really compromise. Let me finish.
Sounds like Sank. Sounds like that little burst right there. That little, oh!
Under the most recent immigration bill. So this is a great point for Republicans compromising, and Dems not.
It's a great point for us, and really, I owe you like.
This is probably like some dictator that'd be beat up by his people. He's so used to being like ordering people to be killed and stuff because he doesn't have a constitution.
Are you giving Willie compromise? That would be dishonest.
Who controlled the houses of Congress at the time?
Managing the business, directors, Your directors, also known as trustees, managers, or governors, are those people seated on your executive board. The director's duties depend on the authority of the board, which is established in the bylaws. Keeping the peace, sergeant at arms. A sergeant at arms, also known as warden or warrant officer, usually has a duty of acting on the orders of the chair to preserve order. Other duties related to the security of the floor may be assigned depending on the needs of the organization. Some organizations establish deputies or assistants who serve under the sergeant at arms, and who may also be referred to by the same title.
You didn't even know it. And you said it yourself in your entire thing was that Trump brought when the base turned against him. And the Brits said, hold on, they said, hold on, and this is the kicker. They said, okay, we compromised all this other stuff, didn't put the budge on that. Guess what? Here comes the next time it comes around. Did y'all remember the dream was dead? No, y'all all remember the dream was convenient, even though we were really compromised everything else.
This is a bill that 121 Republicans supported in favor of, okay? That most of them supported, or most of them voted against. What are we even trying to say here?
She's where they compromised.
Paul's dead?
But they did it.
My cousin Ray died.
They did it.
Paul and my cousin Ray? Oh no! Ray!
Y'all holding together. Y'all want to sit here and take y'all off to the day. Y'all be obstruction.
Do we have old rape gangs? Do we have like old rape gangs, like some sort of ghost movie? And they freaking like 15-year-old Kamala. Is that like Tawila Bar? What was her name?
I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't apologize because I am very
You said it, and I disavow you could apologize. We have pussy ass being on fire right now. Bitch name.
I actually like black toys, but I'm mad at them too. And you know what, kid? I actually like them. Just doing that. I like all you guys. I love this country. I love the Constitution. We don't get it here. Yeah. Okay, well, we're not.
Look, let me make my mind. Let me give you all closing statements, and we can host a part 2 and other things. But I do have to go. I'm going to go through these rapid fire real quick, then we'll go. Parallax, $5, tell you to wake up or shut up, right? DJ, $2606 is $1. President or account for the use of time. Every president now uses military to lead and eliminate conservative Supreme Court justices and military.
2.5 hours.
Explain how.
But then this I'm hardly ever on this one. I did get a viewer for 1 minute and 24 seconds. And the like.
Let's go to science against him for immigration issues. $20 in my deputy. Practice the Supreme Court when you don't get your way immediately, make it a representative body that removes the intended purpose of the
Julia, the Secretary of State. Oh, that's. I guess this is an outline for a history book. And as soon as we get back to academia.
No, it should. I'm learning you all today. I'm learning you.
$30 in market style. People can understand the process and may be actionable and citizens can operate as massive growth of the tech on that system. And all people care about for the obviously going forward. It's not like market style that he's using documents so hard. He's running far in order to